first time in human history, there is a force reshaping everything as we speak.
The rise of generative AI
AI is rapidly reshaping AI.
I'm talking about artificial intelligence. A Goldman Sachs research recently predicted that AI can disrupt over 300 million jobs, and McKinsey says that 70% of all work activities could be automated. Entire careers that took decades to build, worthless. Degrees that cost hundreds of thousands, obsolete. That safe job that you're counting on, disappearing. But while some are about to lose everything, others are building generational wealth at previously impossible speeds. Shopify took 6 years to hit $100 million in revenue. OpenAI did it in 2 years. And now we have specialized AI companies doing it in 8 months. The same 8 months that just slipped through your fingers. Is this the 2025 you wanted? Look, right now, as you're watching this, something unprecedented is happening in this economy. We are witnessing the biggest disruption to how money is made since the internet was invented. And for the first time in decades, the advantage is shifting away from the wealthy, the connected, and the experts, and towards regular, everyday people. There are still 4 months to go in 2025, and the good news is you don't need to create the next billion-dollar unicorn in 8 months to achieve true freedom. All you need to do is position yourself in the right place to surf this massive wave that is about to hit the market. And that is why we created the Make Money Online Challenge 2.0, to show you how you can leverage AI to position yourself at the right place and the right time while still in 2025. Let me tell you something incredible. The last time I hosted this challenge earlier this year, in the first 90 days, the people who took action generated over 8.9 million in tracked earnings. From making their first sale all the way up to buying a McLaren, these are regular everyday people, no special skills. They just position themselves at the right place at the right time. And most importantly, took the decision to make this year the turning point of their lives. So yeah, it's true, 8 months of the year have already gone by, but the next 4, those are yours to claim. The last 4 months of 2025 start now, and I want to challenge you to create a $373 a day online business with me, 100% live over the course of 3 days. So are you gonna keep letting the last 4 months of 2025 slip away, or are you gonna join me for this challenge? The decision is yours. All right. We are live. Drop a 0.44 in the chat if you can hear me, if you can see me. VIPs, if you're here, drop some VIP love. All right, we're having the same issue as one of the days. I can't see the comments. Yeah, guys, give me 1 second, Tristan, if we can see if we can pull it up. Banner comments. Nothing yet. I know there's 5,500 beautiful souls on this live stream. Oh, there we go. Voila. Everything good. Amazing. All right. Amazing VIP. Love you, brother. Love you too. I appreciate you guys. You guys are absolute fucking superstars for making it out here. Day 5. Amazing VIP. What's up? Amazing VIP. All right, cool. Well, if you guys can hear me, if you can see me loud and clear, then let's get into bonus day 2, day 5 overall. So on that note, let's get into it. Look, let's call it as it is. We are in the last episode of our challenge here, and this one is going to be very different from the rest so far. Okay, we have about 90 days left in 2025, and we need to decide what we are going to do in those 90 days. Today is all about decision. Today is about taking matters into your own hands and deciding if you will commit to making this work or not. By the end of today, you're either going to be 100% convinced that this is your path forward and ready to take that decision, or you're going to decide that this is not for you. Either way, you would have made a decision. That is our target for today. And we've also added a very special bonus that will help you tremendously in implementing the stuff that we're going to cover here today. At first, we weren't going to put this in here, but because of the results our current users have been getting with this, I believe that this can be truly helpful beyond any training that I could give you. But anyways, more about that later. Because the fact is, you don't need an entire year to succeed. Just a few days ago, you had no idea this challenge even existed. You didn't know about non-expert digital products. You didn't know that there was an exact step-by-step to create them from scratch using AI. You didn't know you could even monetize topics that you knew nothing about. Look at how much progress you've already made in just 5 days. Now imagine if we keep the same rhythm and extrapolate this timeline to 90 days instead of 5. How much further would you be 90 days from now? You see, we overestimate how much progress we can make in a week, and we underestimate how much progress we can make in 90 days. This is the principle behind the idea of disappearing and coming back in 90 days. So here's the deal. How about we stop pretending that someone is going to come and save us like we're in a TV show or something, because no one is going to make this happen other than yourself. So you either take responsibility to pick yourself up and make this work, or no one will. Now, you might be asking, but why 90 days? There is actual science behind this. You see, research shows that it takes between 66 to 254 days to form permanent habits. And 90 days hits the sweet spot where your brain can actually rewire itself for success. But here's the real reason 90 days is perfect. It's long enough in order for you to build momentum, but short enough that you cannot procrastinate. You can't tell yourself, oh, I'll start tomorrow, when you know every single day counts. If you set your deadline for December 31st, by the time everyone else is just starting to make their New Year's resolution, you would have already been a completely different person. This means that for the next 90 days, every single morning, you wake up asking, what can I do today that will help me closer to becoming ungovernable? While everyone else is mentally checking out for the year, ungovernable people see this as the ultimate competitive advantage, the prime time of the year to lock in and commit to their goals, while others are coasting, you are building, because they know that they don't need perfect conditions in order to start. So today is the day we kick off this 90-day intensive period of commitment to your goals. By the end of this session, you would have the exact blueprint to disappear for 90 days and come back ungovernable with results you can actually point to, because this isn't about spending 90 days just getting ready. It's about 90 days of action that lead to proof. Multiple products created, offers launched, and if everything goes well, sales coming in, and the work starts today. So when December 31st arrives, you will already have real results to show. Can you commit to this for the next 90 days? Commit to giving it to your best, okay? Giving this opportunity your best, whether that means putting 30 minutes a day into it, or if that means putting in 8 hours a day. If you can't make that commitment right now, honestly, at this point, I just think it's best if you don't keep watching this video, okay? Because I know how this goes. I know that right now, part of your brain is already trying to find ways out. Maybe I don't have enough time. Maybe I should just wait until January. Maybe I'm not ready yet. Stop, okay? Just stop it. And that voice, that's exactly what's been keeping you stuck. That is the voice of someone who's been treating the idea of changing their life like a hobby. So right now, I need you to make that commitment. And if you truly mean it, if you can feel that conviction burning inside of you, type "I'm ready" in the comments right now. Because what I'm about to show you in the next few minutes will work only if you have truly decided that mediocrity is no longer an option. Over the past 4 days, we have built the foundations of your ungovernable future step by step. Day one, I showed you why right now is the best time in history to start an online business. We broke down what it means to be ungovernable versus living life at the mercy of others. You discovered the AI revolution, something we'll probably only experience once in our lifetimes, and why combining digital products with AI has created the biggest wealth window of our generation. Day two moved us from theory into action. I walked you through the 3-step AI synthesization system and showed you how to use AI to create your first non-expert digital product, even if you're not an expert and don't want to show your face. Day three revealed how to turn strangers into buyers for your digital product using the 3-step monetization system. You learn how to replace hope marketing with a predictable system that sells for you 24/7, transforming your product from a file on your computer into scalable business. And then on day 4, Jason dove deep into the digital product strategies, revealing the advanced tactics and mindset shifts that turn complete beginners into consistent earners. Now, on day 5, I'm going to show you how to take everything from the last 4 days, disappear for 90 days, and come back ungovernable. And we're going to do that together in 3 phases. Phase 1 is where we uncover why business problems are never just business problems, but rather personal patterns manifesting in your business. This is where I'm going to show you why 95% of people fail, even when they already know exactly what to do. Phase 2 is the 3-step ungovernable system. These are the 3 practical steps that will take you from being stuck in your head, consuming endless content, to actually making money online. When I talk about getting you unstuck from learning mode into earning mode, this is what I'm referring to, okay? And phase 3 is the execution window. This is where everything comes together. You're gonna learn exactly how to lock in during the next 90 days and choose the path that determines how fast you succeed, or if you even succeed at all. I'm gonna guide you through each step or in each phase, step by step. No fluff, no theory, just the exact framework that separates the people who make it from the people who don't. By the end of today's session, you'll either be 100% ready to make the decision to commit to becoming ungovernable with a clear plan to get there, or you will understand exactly why you're choosing to stay where you are. So, are you ready to find out which person you truly are? All right. With that being said, let's step into phase 1. From this point forward, it is not about learning tactics or strategies anymore. You already know enough of those. This phase is about pulling back the curtain on the real reason why 95% of people fail, even when they have the strategies and tactics, because success isn't stopped by business problems. It is stopped by personal patterns, okay? You need to understand this. I'm going to show you how those patterns have been silently sabotaging your progress, and why you have knowledge, and why having knowledge over strategies alone will never actually create results. Let me ask you a question. What was the last time, or when was the last time that you actually committed to something for 90 days straight, okay? And during those 90 days, did you keep taking consistent action daily, regardless of whether you were getting results you wanted or not? It's been a while, hasn't it? I'm sure you have done it before. Think about it, a habit, a difficult exam you had to take, or maybe it was in the gym. You have done it before, okay? You've committed to something for 90 days every single day and kept going strong regardless of how you were feeling or the results you were getting. And when you did, when you spent 90 days straight executing, did you get a result or not? You did, right? Every single time. Now, tell me, okay? Tell me if this opposite situation also sounds familiar. You start strong in a new habit or a project for 2 to 3 weeks, then life just gets in the way. Maybe something happened, maybe you lost focus, whatever it was, you drifted back to old patterns and lost that consistency. In that case, how often did you get the result that you wanted? None. So tell me, do you think that that's a knowledge problem in that case, or an implementation one? Think back to January 1st. What goals did you have for yourself? Okay, what goals did you set? What big plans did you have? What happened to them? Okay, ask yourself these things. Was it really the lack of knowledge that stopped you from achieving them, or was it a personal limitation that you put onto yourself? If you are being honest with yourself, the same personal limitations that stopped you in January are still stopping you right now in October, aren't they? And with about 90 days left in this year, those same personal limitations are about to cost you another entire year. You do not have business problems. You have personal problems that manifest in your business. If you struggle with consistency in your personal life, that exact inconsistency shows up in your business. If you avoid risk in small everyday decisions, those same fears keep you from taking the bold steps that move your business forward. If you procrastinate on things you know you should do, your business mirrors that procrastination back to you with stalled growth and missed opportunities. Your business is never the root problem. It is just a scoreboard. The numbers, the results, the progress, or lack of it are nothing more than feedback on the patterns that you're running internally. And until you change those patterns, the scoreboard will not change either. And that is why there are going to be 2 types of people ending this year. Those who will arrive at 31st of December in the exact same financial position they were at on January 1st, and those who decide to disappear for 90 days and come back completely ungovernable. I told you today was about decisions, and our job here is to decide which one of those people are you going to be. Not the one you want to be, because that answer is obvious, but the one you actually decide to be, because every single decision requires action, and between wanting and deciding, there's an action gap that you need to bridge. I want you to paint this picture in your mind. It is December 31st. You are looking back at this exact moment, this exact video. Are you proud of the decision you made 3 months ago, or do you feel frustrated that nothing really changed? Did you wake up that morning with a sense of accomplishment, knowing you could actually that you actually followed through for 90 days, or does it feel depressing, like this was just another year that slipped away? Now, let me ask you 3 brutally honest questions. When that day comes, will you be the person who decided to act, or the person who kept waiting? Will you be looking back at 90 days of consistent action and real results, or 90 more days of excuses? And will you feel the pride of knowing you chose decisively, or the regret of knowing you let indecision steal another year from you? Those answers should scare you, because here's the truth. If you do not break those personal patterns now, they won't just cost you 2025. No. They will cost you 2026, 2027, and every year after that. So if you want to break out of this cycle, that is exactly what I'm going to show you how to do next. So that was phase 1. Now that we've actually diagnosed the real issue, it's time for the solution. You are about to learn the exact 3-step ungovernable system that transforms knowledge into results and confusion into clarity. This isn't more theory to consume, I should say. This is the implementation framework that makes success inevitable. That is what our phase 2 is about. Now, before we can come up with a solution to this problem, we need to understand what is causing it in the first place, because not being able to accomplish my goals is not a problem per se. It is a symptom. And if you don't identify the real cause, all of your attempts to fix it will just act like a band-aid, treating the symptom and not the root cause. And that is exactly why most people never accomplish their goals. All their solutions focus on managing symptoms instead of addressing this dysfunction underneath. So before we talk about solutions, let's get clear on the cause, because at the root, success or failure always comes down to how you learn and implement. And humans actually learn the same way machines do, through a precise 4-step process that is input, output, feedback, and adjusted input. Your input is the action you take, creating your first product, sending 100 outreach messages, publishing an Instagram reel. Input equals action, okay? Your output is the direct consequences of your actions. You launched your first product and got 3 sales, or maybe you got no sales at all. You sent 100 messages and got 10 responses. You published an Instagram reel, 10 people commented on it. Whether the result is good or bad, it doesn't matter. It is just data. Then you have feedback. This is where you learn from your output. Oh, when I send shorter messages, I got more responses. When I price lower, I got more sales, but less profit, okay? When I posted at 2 p.m., more people engaged. It is the learning lessons extracted from your results. And that leads us to adjusted input. This is your next action. That's going to kick off the cycle again, but this time adjusted by what you learned in the feedback stage. Send shorter messages next time. Test a higher price point. Post at peak hours. And now, here is where the problem lives. The reason why most people never accomplish their goals is because they're stuck learning, consuming endless information, but consuming is not input. Learning is not input. Learning is feedback. When you can only get feedback from output, okay? And you can only have output if you have input, an action that you take in the first place. This is the flow, okay? You understand the problem here. 95% of people consume endless information but never take action. So that cycle never starts. Without action, there's no input. Without input, there's no output. And that means that there are no results. And that's why so many people stay stuck. They confuse learning with action and end up trapped without ever getting the cycle started through consistent input. Can you see now why just knowing what to do is not enough? Why even if you take all this incredibly valuable content that I've shared in the last 4 days, you will never get a result if you do not create input. That is why my tone for this session, that's why the tone for today's session here is decision. We need to get you to decide to take action. Otherwise, none of the other days matter. Now, the second issue comes from those who do take action, but don't know how to extract the right conclusions from their results. They keep making the same mistakes without noticing because they can't properly evaluate the feedback from their output. Without quality feedback, guess what happens? You repeat the same mistakes indefinitely, wondering why nothing works despite all of your effort. You create your first digital product and launch it. That's your input, real action taken. You get 2 sales out of 100 people who saw it. That's your output, the direct result of your action, okay? Now comes a critical moment, feedback. And this is killer. For the few who do make it through the first issue and actually take action to get the cycle going, this is where they fail. Most people never get quality feedback to adjust their approach. Without quality feedback, you repeat the same mistakes indefinitely, wondering why nothing works despite all of your effort. You operate in a bubble, make assumptions about what's working based on your limited perspective. And this happens because you can't give yourself objective feedback, especially on something you have no experience with. It's very simple. You do not know what you do not know. So you can't really identify gaps in your own knowledge. You lack the experience to recognize patterns that are obvious to others. Here is what the cycle looks like for most people getting into online business for the first time. Input, you try drop shipping, let's say, for a week. You set up a store, run some ads, and that's it. Output, you get a few hundred visitors, 0 sales, and you spend $200 on ads. Feedback, you think dropshipping doesn't work. This business model is dead. Adjusted input, you then try crypto trading instead. Then the same cycle repeats. Input, you buy a crypto course. You start trading for 2 weeks. Output, you lose $300 on bad trades. Feedback, you say, oh, crypto's too risky. I need something more stable. Adjusted input, you try affiliate marketing, okay? Do you see the pattern? Where is the problem in the cycle? The problem is in the feedback stage, okay? Just because you didn't make money doesn't mean the business model doesn't work. You probably just need to adjust your approach, maybe test different products, improve your ads, or give it more than 1 week. But without external feedback from someone who knows what they're doing, you default to the conclusion of this business model is broken. So you jump to the next opportunity and repeat the exact same cycle because you are going to make the same mistakes just with a different business. Do you see how until you address the actual root cause of the problem, you will keep repeating this pattern and facing failure after failure? The root cause is not the business model, okay? The root cause is the lack of quality feedback to adjust your inputs, okay? This is the actual issue. So now that we understand the root cause of our problems, here is how we're going to fix it. As we covered before, your business results are a direct reflection of your personal operating system. You can't upgrade your business without upgrading yourself first. If you want to become ungovernable in the next 90 days, the upgrade has to start here with your operating system. So what does that look like in practice? An ungovernable individual compresses years of progress into months. While most people spend weeks stuck in their very first attempt, the ungovernable run through dozens of iterations in the same amount of time. And the reason is simple. They made a decision. Not a wish, not a someday, but an actual decision, okay? Every real decision demands action. Action becomes input. Input produces output. Output generates feedback, okay? This is it. Feedback loops back into a new input and the cycle accelerates. That's why the ungovernable separates so quickly from everyone else. While 99% of people are still preparing, studying, getting ready, the 1% who are ungovernable are going through dozens of iterations of the cycle, learning more at each feedback loop and compounding their wins at each new iteration. One single decision pulled them out of learning mode and pushed them into earning mode. And once that line is crossed, you don't just move differently, you operate on a completely new paradigm. Isn't that exactly what you want? That momentum that makes progress inevitable instead of something that you have to force. So how do you actually install that operating system? How do you become that person who operates in this new paradigm? Well, it comes down to 3 specific personal upgrades. Now, the first upgrade builds directly on that decision. As we've seen, most people don't fail because they lack knowledge. They fail because they never create enough input in the first place. They drift in and out of effort. They start strong for 2 or 3 weeks, then disappear when motivation fades. They stall before the loop can even work for them. So how do you fix this? Well, here is the insight I need you to take away. The easiest way to achieve consistency over these next 90 days and finally go from learning mode into earning mode is to commit to one single daily action, not 10 things, not a giant to-do list, one thing, okay? So here's the question you need to answer. What is the one action you're going to take today that moves your business forward? Then tomorrow, answer again. And the next day, the next, until you build out a full 90-day plan of daily actions that you're going to take. That is how you build momentum. That is how you create compounding progress, because this is the real shift. When you act daily, you are no longer stuck in learning mode, waiting for the right time. You've crossed into earning mode, where every action, every input generates output, and every output gives you feedback to improve the next action. When you simplify consistency down to one action a day, then overwhelm disappears. Suddenly, you're no longer trying to be disciplined. You're just following a simple rule that forces you to act regardless of how you feel. And when you attach that to a concrete deadline, a specific launch day within the next 90 days, everything changes. You stop overthinking. You stop chasing perfection, okay? The clock is ticking, and every day has a clear next move. That is how the ungovernable stay ahead. They don't just let motivation decide if they'll act, their system does. And that is why, while most people are still waiting for the perfect moment, they've already built momentum that compounds day after day. Isn't that the kind of momentum you want working for you instead of against you? Because right now, if you are not taking action, momentum is working against you. And this is how you turn it around. And I know coming up with 90 days worth of daily actions is not an easy task either, and most people get stuck here. So you know what's the best way to not get stuck having to figure out what that daily action should be? Following a pre-built plan that removes all of the guesswork. So that way you don't have to figure out. You just follow the steps of more experienced people who have already gone through the struggles and the trials and errors. This is what smart entrepreneurs do. Most of you guys don't realize, but when Bill Gates first launched Microsoft, he didn't build Windows from scratch. He licensed an existing OS from a small company and rebranded it as MS-DOS. Why? Because that was infinitely easier to do than building it from the ground up. When big companies like Amazon want to get into a new industry that they don't have much expertise in, how do they go about it? Do they spend years building it themselves? No, they acquire a company that's already doing it successfully. Why? Because they already figured it out and went through all of the mistakes for them. They know that starting something from scratch is incredibly risky, and the safer path is just to follow the steps of someone who did it already. Even Elon Musk with SpaceX, when he went about building their first rocket, he didn't try to build everything from scratch at first. The first thing he did was try to acquire the models from the Russians, so that way he didn't have to do everything himself. Smart people don't try to reinvent the wheel. They acquire the plan from people who have already done what they want to do. So even if Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and the world's biggest companies always take the proven path first, why are you still trying to figure things out on your own? Why not follow a plan that has already been proven to work? This way, you don't have to figure things out. You just have to execute. Wouldn't that be much easier than going through trial and error and risking never figuring it out in the first place? Now, once you've committed to taking one daily action and acquired your 90-day action plan, the second personal upgrade is making sure those actions are actually moving you in the right direction. Because even with consistent input, if you're always acting from your own perspective, you'll keep running into the same walls. Remember the example I gave earlier. You jump from dropshipping one week to crypto the next week, then affiliate marketing, then AI tools, always chasing the latest trends while while juggling your day job and family responsibilities. You think you're being strategic, but someone with experience could tell you that you're never giving anything enough time to actually work. It's like a flight that's just 1 degree off course. At takeoff, that small error seems insignificant, but after flying for hours, that tiny deviation puts you hundreds of miles away from your destination. The same thing happens in business. A small blind spot in your approach, whether it's topic selection, monetization strategy, or business model choice, compounds over time until you're completely off track. The problem is you can't see your own blind spots, and that's exactly why you keep repeating the same mistakes. You don't know what you don't know. The easiest way to fix that, get external feedback. Stop relying on your own feedback for topics you know nothing about. And that's why after this session, I want you to take your 90-day plan and show it to your mentor for feedback. Every successful person I have ever studied had someone keeping them accountable, a coach, a mentor, a business partner, a competent team around who could see things that they couldn't. Warren Buffett had Ben Graham as his mentor. Steve Jobs had Steve Wozniak as his technical co-founder who could execute the vision that Jobs couldn't build himself. I myself have a very competent team around me, consistently giving me feedback and helping me adjust my inputs. Without them, I'd be making the same blind spot mistakes everyone else makes when they try to do everything alone. The pattern is universal. Every breakthrough comes from having external eyes on your approach, people who can spot what you can't see from inside your own perspective. And that is your second personal upgrade, getting external feedback instead of trusting only your own perspective. And if you don't have a mentor, that right there explains why you keep repeating the same patterns. Now, once you have your 90-day plan and someone to give you external feedback, the last personal upgrade you need is actually the easiest, because this third personal upgrade is simply about understanding your advantages. Most people in the same position as you just tell themselves, oh, once I learn more skills, once I have more money saved up, once I have a bigger audience, then I'll be ready. And if that's you, good, because what you don't realize is you're not too late to the game. You are not behind. You are actually perfectly positioned. You see, every so-called disadvantage you think is holding you back is actually the very thing that gives you the edge in the small. You don't have technical skills? Well, why do you think that's a problem? Let's actually unwrap this. Think about the last time you used an app or tool that just did the hard work for you. Maybe it was Google Maps showing you the fastest route, or Canva turning your messy idea into polished design. Did you need to be a programmer in order to use Google Maps? Did you need to be a professional designer to use Canva? Of course not. You just pressed a few buttons and it worked. Well, creating a digital product today works the exact same way. It's no longer about years of training or becoming an expert. It's about knowing where to click and letting the tools do the heavy lifting. So let's think about that from the opposite stance here. Who's actually in the better position here? The guy who spent years boxing himself into one narrow skill set, or you who can skip the entire learning curve and create products on any topic that you choose without needing to master the technical side first. Another hidden advantage that most people don't realize is that they have limited time. Okay, you're working, you're studying, you're managing a million responsibilities already. I get it. And the fact that you don't have lots of time actually means that you're not going to waste your time doing dozens of random activities that don't take you anywhere, like most people do when trying to launch a business. Instead, you only focus on the very thing that matters most, the one single action you need to take that day, simply because you don't have time to take any other actions. And that's actually a huge advantage, okay? Another hidden advantage is when people think, oh, I don't have any authority. Who's going to buy my product? But let me ask you this. When you're buying something online, whether that's a book on Amazon or a gadget on some random store, how often do you check if the seller has millions of followers? Hardly ever. You cared about whether the product solved your problem or if the solution was presented in a way that made sense. That is exactly how your buyers think. They're not scrolling through your Instagram page. They're asking one thing: does this help me? You see, the very things you thought were disadvantages, no audiences, no content, no time, are now your biggest assets because they force you to do things the smart way: faceless, simple, lean, focused. And that's exactly the path to win in this game. So your third personal upgrade is this: stop seeing yourself as not ready yet and start seeing yourself as exactly who this was designed for. Your beginner's perspective isn't a weakness. It's not something you have to fix. It's actually the most valuable thing that you bring to the table. So instead of waiting until you feel qualified enough, I want you to flip that belief on its head. I want you to embrace your fresh eyes, your clean slate, and your hunger as a beginner, because that shift in mindset alone, that one decision to see your beginner status as an advantage, not a limitation, is what will carry you to your first sale. From your first sale to your 10th sale, from your 10th to your 100th, all the way to becoming ungovernable. And just like your personal problems become your business problems, your personal advantages will become your business advantages, okay? Now, we have covered the complete 3-step system. You understand that all things most people use as excuses, no audience, no technical skills, no expertise, are actually hidden advantages that force you to do things the smart way. You understand how people truly learn and achieve progress through the learning machine protocol, and why 95% of people get stuck in input mode without reaching the feedback that creates results. You understand that to kick off this cycle, all you need is a single decision, the decision to take action. You understand that all you need to take one action is to take one action a day for 90 days. You know the 3 personal upgrades that install an ungovernable identity: taking a single daily action, getting external feedback, and adopting the beginner's advantage mindset. So here's what I want you to do next. Sit down and develop your 90-day plan of action that you will take. Then you're going to take this to a mentor and ask for their external feedback, so that way you know if you're going in the right direction. This will be your plan to disappear and come back ungovernable in 90 days. And that brings us to the decision we agreed that we would make today. We are getting to the end of this challenge, okay? So it is now time for us to make that decision. With about 90 days left in 2025, you have a rare window to disappear from your current limitations and emerge ungovernable. We have reached that moment where you need to choose your path forward, not just think about it, not just consider it, but actually decide. And there are 2 ways we can go about this. There's the easy way and there's the hard way. The hard way in this case is that you need to come up with this 90-day plan yourself. You need to figure things out on your own. You need to find a mentor willing to give you feedback. It means relying not only on your own willpower, hoping you don't slip back into the same old patterns once life inevitably gets busy, and it means wasting precious time on avoidable mistakes, time that could already be compounding into results if you had the right guidance. Most people take this route, and almost all of them end up frustrated, burned out, and right back where they started. The easiest way is: you don't have a plan, you don't have a mentor, well, I can give you all of that. So then all you need to do is simply follow the instructions, where feedback comes in real time. So instead of wasting months chasing the wrong thing, you can make the right adjustments in days, where daily structure and accountability keeps you consistent even when motivation dips. And when you know that you're not walking the road alone, okay? You've got people by your side who have already faced and solved the exact challenges that you are about to encounter. Imagine what changes when you're not just forcing yourself to push forward, but actually being pulled forward by an entire community moving in the same direction. That is the easy way, and it's the exact same way that all these people you've seen over the last few days have chosen. They've all decided to take advantage of Monetize to give them the complete implementation system built to take you from commitment to consistent execution, the exact 90-day action plan, and the external feedback to adjust your actions. Success doesn't come from studying more. It comes from doing one clear thing every single day. And you already know that. And that's why I designed Monetize to make this process inevitable. Every morning, you're going to wake up knowing the exact step to take. No guesswork, no maybe this, maybe that, okay? Just one decisive move forward that keeps the cycle in motion. And over 90 days, those simple daily actions stack into real results. Digital products created, product pages set live, systems built, proof you can point to instead of ideas that never left your head. That is how Monetize compresses years of trial and error into 90 days of systematic progress. It is all broken down into 4 pillars of implementation: develop, monetize, deliver, and scale, with the exact daily actions you need to take at each step for the 90 days. Pillar number 1 is develop. In your first 2 weeks, it is all about creation. Every single day, you're going to take one clear step towards developing a market-ready digital product, from choosing your topic to validating market demand to having your first digital product ready to sell. No blank page, no guesswork, just daily action that compounds. Pillar number 2 is monetize. In weeks 3 and 4, the focus shifts to monetization. Daily actions guide you through creating a structure that converts complete strangers into buyers for your digital product, even if you don't have an audience. One action a day. Pillar number 3 is deliver. In weeks 5 and 6, you lock in automation. Each day, you're going to set up a piece of your delivery system so that once sales actually start rolling in, fulfillment happens automatically, whether it's one customer or 1,000, because WAP allows us to do for free what other platforms charge thousands of dollars for. Pillar number 4 is scale. In the final weeks, you step into leverage. Every day, a single focused action expands your income streams, unlocks new products, and builds a progression ladder that takes you from your first sales to 10, 100, and 1,000. This is your 90-day implementation plan, completely done for you. 90 days of guided daily actions to pull you out of learning mode and keep you in earning mode. Now, ideally, at the end of every week, you should be sitting down with a mentor, someone who can look at your results, point at your blind spots that you can't see, and help you adjust your input for the next round. This is exactly the missing piece that keeps most people stuck in cycles of repeated mistakes. And that is why I built something very, 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 very special for you guys watching today, okay? Inside of Monetize, you're not just getting the full implementation system and the 90-day action plan. You're also getting Ask Iman, okay? Your personal feedback engine. I introduce Ask Iman AI. You see, for the past year, I've been building something designed to solve the single biggest challenge in becoming ungovernable, having 24/7 access to real battle-tested feedback and guidance from someone who's already lived this life. Because let's be honest, most people don't fail from lack of information. The internet is drowning in tips and advice. What kills progress is not knowing how to make the right decision at the right time. When you're up at 2 a.m. and you're staring at your laptop, wondering if you should pivot your product, adjust your pricing, or double down on a campaign, who do you ask? Google? Some random gurus? Your friends who've actually never even built a business before? That's why so many people stay stuck. And that's exactly what Ask Iman AI solves. I've taken my entire 9-year journey, every win, every failure, every hard lesson, and fed it into a system available for you 24/7. Every video I've ever published, every paid program I've created, thousands of hours of content, hundreds of strategies, countless case studies and breakthroughs, and the mindset shifts that separates those who make it from those who don't. Every single insight, every framework I've developed, every mistake I've made, everything I've learned from every breakthrough moment I've captured, it is all there, processed and ready to guide your specific decisions. It's like having my brain on demand, ready to give you direct, no BS answers tailored to the exact situation that you are in. Think of it as a mentor that never sleeps, a vault of experience and clarity you can tap into anytime, day or night. How much easier would it be for you to succeed if, instead of losing weeks over a single stuck point, you could get answers in seconds and move forward with certainty every single time? Well, this is exactly what I'm making available at no extra cost for those who join Monetize until the end of today's session. How much time, frustration, and money would you save if you could skip months of trial and error with instant feedback before you waste time going down the wrong paths? That is what I'm proposing here, for you to get unstuck immediately when facing obstacles that would normally derail your progress for weeks. This is like having me sitting next to you for every decision, except with perfect memory of every lesson I've ever been taught. You are getting unlimited access to my entire strategic knowledge base, something that's taken me literally nearly a decade to build. Think about it. How many times have you gone stuck on something for days or even weeks, wondering if you're making the right move, second guessing every decision, only to realize later you were overthinking something that could have been solved in minutes with the right guidance? That is the power of having my entire strategic brain available 24/7. No more wondering, oh, am I doing this right? How many times have you been stuck on a critical decision? Okay. It is so much easier just to have me there. Okay. As I said, you're going to have this entire process. Okay. And you're going to have me basically almost looking over your shoulder, okay? And that is how much more easier that this is gonna make your life. As I said, this is what you get with Ask Iman AI. Now, on top of that, there's a ton of other bonuses that you're also gonna get when you join Monetize today. Bonus number 2 is the 12-month coaching. Remember what I said earlier about most people failing because they can't get quality feedback to adjust their approach. On top of the Ask Iman AI, you also get 12 months of intensive coaching. This gives you the mentors to provide you the external feedback you need to adjust your inputs properly. 52 weeks of intensive guidance through every obstacle that stops people from becoming ungovernable. Instead of guessing what went wrong, you get expert support to guide your next moves. What if instead of figuring everything out alone, you had experts telling you exactly what needs to change? Wouldn't that make all of the difference? Bonus number 3 is digital product formula. Now, you know what happens after you create your first digital product? Most people hit a wall. They don't know what to create next. They struggle to get consistent sales. They end up with a single product that makes them maybe $500 a month if they're lucky. That is why you get digital product formula. This is a complete step-by-step implementation system used by students who generate $8.9 million in 90 days after our last challenge. Every click, every strategy mapped out from first idea to ungovernable income. This alone eliminates the guesswork that keeps most people stuck at their first product forever. All recorded in easy to follow classes where you're going to watch me build a digital product live over the shoulder. Can you imagine the relief of never having to wonder what is the next step, because every single move is mapped out for you? Think of it as having me as your personal trainer, but instead of building muscle, we're building your financial freedom. Wouldn't it be better to know your next move, okay? And know it in detail each time. Bonus number 4 is monetize mania competition. Here's another problem. Without real stakes, most people treat this like just a hobby. They dabble, they procrastinate, and they never push through the discomfort that creates real results. And that is why I'm funding the Monetize Mania competition with $350,000 in total prizes. And here is why this isn't just about the money. This competition runs for exactly 90 days, the exact same 90 days we've been talking about throughout this entire episode. It's designed to align perfectly with your transformation window. While you're disappearing to become ungovernable, you're also competing for life-changing rewards that make that transformation even more inevitable. The grand prize is a $40,000 Patek Philippe watch plus 4 $10,000 Rolexes and 5 Cartiers for top performers. And the top 10 also get an exclusive seat at my $25,000 mastermind. Now, when you're competing for life-changing rewards over the next time frame of your ungovernable transformation, you push past limitations that normally hold you back. The 90-day competition window isn't random. It is the perfect amount of time to disappear, transform, and emerge with both results and rewards to show for it. So tell me, doesn't that make the next 90 days the most important of your life? Bonus number 5 is list of 100 profitable non-expert digital products, okay? Then, most people waste months researching what products to create, analyzing markets, and second-guessing their ideas while profitable opportunities slip away, which is why you have the 100 profitable product list. We tracked over 30 million digital product sales to identify the 100 most profitable, low-competition digital product topics. So while others guess what might work, you get the exact opportunities that generate consistent income. We compiled the top 100 in this untapped goldmine database with insider data on pricing strategies, target audiences, and success patterns. It is like having the answers before taking the test. Can you see how having this market intelligence eliminates the biggest risk in digital products, which is choosing a niche that doesn't make money? Bonus number 6 is synthesize AI 3.0. The biggest challenge is creating expert level products when you're not an expert. Most people either give up or spend years trying to become authorities in fields they know nothing about. That is where Synthesize AI comes in, the world's most powerful digital product creation engine. This AI processes 150 expert sources simultaneously and creates expert level products faster than actual experts. Think of it as a slot machine that never requires money. You can pull the lever until you hit the jackpot. Can you see how this makes the game completely different for you, allowing you to tap into even more markets that you knew nothing about? Bonus number 7 is Ghostwriter OS. Listen, here's what stops most people from scaling. They create one product and have no idea how to create a monetization system that turns strangers into buyers, which is exactly why you get Ghostwriter OS worth $2,999. It creates your entire monetization system for you, from your product page to your page script, regardless of whether you know anything about marketing or not. How much faster would you grow if you had a system like that built out for you? Bonus number 8 is your success tribe. You see, building an ungovernable lifestyle alone is unnecessarily difficult and lonely, okay? Most people give up because they're surrounded by people who don't understand the journey, which is why you get your success tribe. That is a community full of ambitious people at every stage of building their ungovernable lifestyle, because when you are surrounded by people moving in the same direction, success becomes inevitable. Do you think it's easier to win when you don't have to walk alone? Bonus number 9 is perfect product insurance policy. The way it works is very, very simple. If you haven't made your first sale within 60 days, my team will personally step in. Okay, we will personally review your product and monetization strategy and then give you a clear plan on exactly what to adjust. Your unique value zone, your product packaging and format, your pricing strategy, your monetization strategy. No guessing, no wondering what went wrong, just direct feedback to get you back on track. This way, even if you do everything wrong, you can still find success because our team will personally help you. This way, you don't even need to trust yourself on getting things right. You just need to trust our team. The same team that services our $25,000, $100,000, even $250,000 clients at consulting.com. Don't you think that with a team like this, you are far more likely to achieve success, even if you do things wrong? Can you see how this insurance policy forces progress no matter what? Now, let me break down exactly what you are getting here. The digital product formula alone is worth $2,997. The Monetize Mania competition, I'm funding it with $350,000 in total prizes. 100 profitable products list is valued at $1,497. Synthesize AI, you literally can't even buy the software anywhere right now. It's priceless. Ghostwriter AI is $2,999. 12-month coaching is worth over $3,000 in value. Your Success Tribe community access, also priceless. And Ask Iman, that's over $10,000 in value, and it is exclusive to this day only. If you tried to get all of these things separately, you'd be looking at tens of thousands of dollars in value. But you're not paying tens of thousands. No. You're not even paying $10,000, okay? Hell, you're not even paying $5,000. Right now, you can secure your complete monetized access with all of these bonuses for just $1,995. And because you are here live during this exclusive episode, you get Ask Iman AI, which costs us thousands and thousands and thousands a month to operate for absolutely free when you join Monetize for just $1,995. This is only available until the end of today's session. After we end this, it is gone forever. Look, if you're still here, you've already made the decision to get into digital products. You know that already. The only decision left is whether you want to do this the hard way, figuring everything out alone through trial and error, or the easy way with a proven system and guidance every step of the way. Exactly how all of these people succeeded. So here's what I want you to do right now. Click the link I'm dropping in the pinned comment in the live chat and lock in your spot. I'm dropping the link in 3, 2, 1 now. You can also join at joiniman.com in case you are watching from a TV or any device where you can't click. You can literally just type this out in your browser, joiniman.com, and it will take you to the enrollment page. And yes, flexible payment options are available. This is the only time Ask Iman AI will ever be included. So go to joiniman.com, click that link, and let's make the next 90 days the period that changes everything for you. Now, here is where I take this to a level that no one else in this industry would dare to. I would like to say, okay, that what you need is to learn how to create an asset that generates money consistently on demand over and over. Once you have that skill, money becomes a byproduct. Your problem gets solved not by having more cash today, but by having the ability to create cash whenever you need it. And that's exactly what I want you to build with Monetize. So if you don't make at least a 10x return on your investment over the next 12 months using this system, here's what happens. We will keep working with you until you do. All coaching access, all community support extended for as long as it takes for you to hit that milestone. We track everything through WAP in real time, every sale, every customer, every dollar. We can verify your progress as it happens, which means we know exactly when you've hit your goal. Think about what this means. You literally cannot fail unless you quit. I'm taking 100% of the risk here. The only risk on your end is the risk of success. Most business coaches charge $5,000 just to look at your situation. High-level consultants charge $25,000 for the strategies that I'm giving you unlimited access to. You're getting everything for just $1,995 at joiniman.com with a safety net that we will work with you until you win. If finances are tight right now, we've negotiated the best financing options this market has ever seen through WAP. We're talking about breaking this down into payments that anyone serious about changing their situation can manage. Just check the options at checkout and just tap the link in the chat. Now, it is time for us to have some fun with our Q&A one last time. This is the part of the session that you will only see if you are here live. Everything else from this point out will get cut. So just remember, if you leave this live session, you will never be able to see it again. And with that, I introduce my co-host, Jason, which you guys all seem to love. Jason, welcome back.
We back here, boys and girls. We ready to rock and roll? Give me some 0.44s in the chat for my VIPs. And for the rest of y'all, type monetize into the chat if you could, please. I want to see that love. I want to see that love. It is the last official day of this challenge. That means I don't know when I'm going to see you again after this day. I'm not sure what's going to happen. So this is the only certainty that we have for sure here. I have prepared a couple things and talks based on what I was listening for Iman downstairs. So I have some frameworks that I want to share with you today, no matter what. Obviously, we'll answer questions. We're here a little earlier than normal, which I like. So we're going to get cooking and we're going to get started here. But yeah, look at all those 0.44s. Look at all those in the chat there with the VIPs, also with the monetize. Shout out to all of you who made it this far. If anybody here attended all 5 days live, put 5 in the chat, would you please? You are my goats. You are the ones that have shown persistency, and they say most of winning is in the showing up. You've shown up here. Now, because you've shown up here, you heard what Iman said, where collecting information is not action. Collecting information or learning is a setup towards action, but real learning occurs when behavior changes. And behavior best changes when you move forward, however you do. And I have some thoughts on that we can break down as well. But look at our fivers here. Oh my God, it just hit the chat.
That's
just
crazy.
Like that. I appreciate each and every single one of you because we've been going hard here, which is why it's important that we take the time with you, because we wouldn't make a big deal out of this if it wasn't a big deal. I got a lot of things I could be doing right now. And I know you have a lot of things you could be doing right now, Iman. And the reason why we're doing this instead of those things is because this holds a higher priority. The urgency right now in which the opportunity can be leveraged is very high. It's probably at its apex. I'm not sure if it will get higher than this, although I would rather be wrong and find it out. But right now, it is the highest I've ever seen the temperature for the demand for digital products. And it is the best time I've seen to leverage AI before everybody else can kind of figure out how to do it. First past the post is a huge advantage. First past the post means once you get it, you lock it in. So once you acquire customers, nobody can undo those customers. Later on, it might be harder for other people to create digital products and acquire customers, but if you've already done it, then it stays easy for you if you do it now. And that's an important concept because we don't know exactly what the future holds, but I know once you acquire customers, you acquire momentum. Once you acquire momentum, it becomes harder not to make money than it does to make money. And we've heard this from a lot of our guests as well, too. We've had guests that was 2,000 a month, 4,000 a month, and 50,000. It wasn't that. Let me let you know a little secret there. He didn't go from 4,000 to 50,000 by working. What's the math on that? 12 times as hard in a single month. He worked the same hard and 12x his income because of momentum. And so if you get it going now, you get the momentum. And I think it's the easiest time to get the momentum with Synthesis AI. And then, of course, we got to ask Iman. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
And by the way, just so you guys understand, just to give you guys context, obviously with VIPs, I speak a little bit more openly about, like, sometimes I feel the numbers are so big these days at the other businesses. Like even just yesterday, I found out we closed off September at $165 million. People earned on WAP, $165 million we processed on WAP. And bear in mind, that is, at least from when I invested in the company, this is just over a year ago, 5x. Yeah. 5x, okay? Since our last round in June. Our last round at $800 million valuation in June of 2024, which we kept quite quiet, and then somehow like about 5 months ago, it got out. So whatever, yeah. I guess I can say it now. We have 5x'd since last June. So like every single month I see it, we grow 5 to 10%. And what that means is like, okay, that's cool for us as a company. But what that means is like people are earning 5 to 10% more. And by the way, just so you guys understand, like WAP is the biggest digital product platform on earth. Okay, is, as I said, is literally the Shopify of, it is literally the Amazon, the Shopify of digital products. Okay, yeah. And so when WAP is growing, that's a sign that this market is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I see it day in and day out. So you guys are in like the most, but still also in the infancy stage. Yeah. All right. Like you guys need to understand that it's still nowhere near where it will be in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now. Because also the thing you need to understand is like, I guess I won't get too into the specifics of it, but yeah, I won't reveal what company it is, but I have a dear friend of mine, and we catch up every few months, and whatever, we were catching up a month ago, and long story short, he has a physical university. That's his business. He owns like physical universities. And it's always very fascinating catching up with them because they do over $1 billion a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big group of universities and student lending and stuff like that. And I speak to them a lot about, okay, what's like, where do you see traditional education? And funnily enough, like I remember when we first got introduced a year ago, he's like, to be honest, I think it's not heading in the most, heading in an interesting direction. It's not heading in the most positive direction. I don't have too much faith in, more and more people are going online and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, well then doesn't that concern you? And then I saw him like 3 months ago in UK. And he was like, yeah, well, I just sold half of the portfolio for $1 billion. So I was like, yeah, well, listen, that makes sense. So all of that money needs to go somewhere. Like that money, the hundreds and, what is it, hundreds of billions a year? It must be over $1 trillion a year that's being spent on traditional education.
It's overpriced. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
That money needs to flow somewhere. Okay. That money needs to flow somewhere, and that money is flowing into digital products. So that money is yours to be made.
Yeah.
As long as you position yourself correctly. So the reason I bring up all this stuff is I was just saying to VIPs about Ask Iman, our price, just so you guys understand, like, I said this one of the other days, but just so you guys understand, like, what is our intention to, put together this whole thing. Of course, we put together Monetize, as you've seen. I've literally proven, I've showed the wires, like I've shown you multiple 7 or even multiple 7-figure wires to put Monetize together. So like our costs, we have a crazy costs when it comes to Monetize. Okay. So Monetize isn't particularly the most profitable digital product on earth. Okay. If I was advising you on how to run a digital product, I would say definitely don't run it like Monetize. But just so you guys understand, I just want to get people through the door because that grows WAP, which is, as you know, is already a multi-billion-dollar company. That grows Consult.com, our consulting firm, which is an 8-figure year business. And our fee to work with us at Consult.com, our fee to become a Quantum client is $25,000 every 6 months. Okay, this is online. You can verify. You can go book in a call and speak with our team. And they get one 60-minute call with me.
Yep.
That's it. One 60-minute call with me. That is what is included. And of course, they get to license our systems, and we have like 72 SOPs on how to run big, like these are big scale digital product businesses. Like one of our clients last year did $120 million. Okay. So to give you context, like we have people in there doing 5 million a month, 10 million a month. We have some people, making really the lowest about 50K a month. We have a bunch of people 500K, 1 million a month, 5 million, 10 million, like anywhere in that range. But that is the fee to work with us. So rather than you paying $25,000 for an hour, of course, technically it isn't one-on-one, but you also have it 24/7, okay? Unlimited access to basically have me as your mentor, as your coach.
I know. It's pretty
fucking
crazy. So we've had some people using it, some clients of Iman's, and it's probably their favorite thing. I'm like, don't you get it? Synthesize builds you these assets, but that's different. It's not as cool as interacting with the virtual version of Iman, and it's incredible. It's probably the most overwhelmingly positive feedback that I've seen from the users who have used it.
And also, just someone is asking, is this bonus available for people that previously bought? Yes. I don't know if you've noticed the way that we do things. If you bought on day one, without you even knowing, you got everything else. Okay, because we reward the people that purchase. Okay, so like just so you guys understand, like we've done it before, if you purchase today, you get Ask Iman AI, unlimited access to it. But if you purchased previously, you also get that, because as I said, the way that we like to conduct business is we try to set your expectations here and then over deliver. Okay, so that's why like every single day, I've even seen it in the community, every single day in our success tribe, we're like, oh, by the way, guys, just a heads up, I know you didn't know that you were paying for this, but Jason just dropped some crazy, insane bonuses yesterday. Congratulations, you guys get it because you took action. Okay, so like if you're already in the tribe, if you're already in the success tribe, we're giving you more and more. Now, obviously, as I said, if you decide to join the tribe tomorrow, then unfortunately it's not available tomorrow. So the longer you wait, the more you get penalized for your inaction, okay?
Yeah, and the sooner you act, the more you get rewarded for it. And this is a microcosm of what the reality of the business world looks like. It's not always rainbows and unicorns, but That's how human beings work. And Iman spoke to this here today on the training. It's all about the feedback loop. And so you do a thing, and if it gives you a reward, you continue to do that. Unfortunately, some of you have your wires crossed right now. You do a thing that's not good for you, but it temporarily feels like a reward, and then that limits you. And so what we're going to do here, and I think one of the reasons why I've got such a positive response from this audience, Iman, is because I go at it directly. I'm like in there, like rewiring the brain and trying to put new sparks and connections together.
Speaking of, I've been on for 2.5 hours or two-ish hours. I'm going to go restroom real quick.
Okay, cool.
And I will be back shortly.
Yes.
I mean, you guys fucking love and know Jason. So W's in the chat for Jason. Go show Jason some love, and I will see you guys in just a second.
Oh, cool. I can't wait for you to come back. Let's give up some love for Iman as well. He is working harder than anybody that I've seen to change this industry, this digital product industry. Just to be clear with you, I kind of moved on from it because I've been in it since 2018, and I'm like, there are easier things to go out there and sell. There are things that people understand and respond to quicker and move forward with. However, digital products are still my favorite thing in the entire world. It's still the thing that I work with the most. And so it was difficult because there were hurdles involved that Iman has been able to remove for you. And this is why I'm excited to be back here. Now, I got a couple things that I want to show you real quickly. I'm going to give you some frameworks. I have a lot of frameworks. Many of you have responded very positively to my frameworks. You've seen me demonstrate them on you, and then many of you ask me, how did you do this? How did you do that? What was the communication structure? I want to do that myself. This has been useful to you, so I'm going to break down some frameworks to you. I also have a really cool thing called the Cult of Done that I have built around my own concept of. So the Cult of Done was this manifesto that was created several years ago by Keo Stark and Brie Pettis. And I have my own take on this. So I want to prejudice you towards action because the results come from action. So we're going to break and analyze that down as well. And then, of course, I have the day 5 questions. And yesterday I ran out of steam. I sadly slunk back to the hotel room, disappointed in myself that I couldn't go on for another couple hours because many of you were still asking questions and I wanted to answer them. Specifically, the questions were around the concept of what is the missing piece of information you need that would help you make either a no decision or a yes decision. So what I would do is I'd ask the audience yesterday and I would say, if you are leaning towards a yes, but you're not quite there, what would help you decide if it was a hard yes or if it was a no? And I had more questions that I could answer yesterday. So I want to come back and check in with you and have more space to do that here today. So spend some more time on that as well. If you want to watch any of the YouTube videos that we've done previously, they are on the channel. They are on the YouTube channel. So mine yesterday, do me a favor, not right now, but before we pull these off, because we will pull these off in the near future, go watch it and give it some more views. You got to up my game up because a lot of people see me on Iman's channel and they haven't been here and they don't know who I am, and then they click away. So for me to feel better about myself, give that some views when you get a chance. And of course, day 3's on there, day 2's on there, and day 1 is on there as well. So you can get those in there. They're on YouTube videos. Now, the Q&A sessions that I do here, those are cut off, but the videos and the trainings themselves are specifically there. Also, Celestial brought this to my attention. Celestial Punk is saying if somebody's approaching you proactively pretending to be monetized, if it's not through an official channel, do not respond to them. The best way to be in contact with us is when you go to joiniman.com and then scroll to the bottom, you'll see a WhatsApp there. And that is 100% the best way to communicate. And then once you start a communication, so if you need help with anything, just go to joiniman.com. At the very bottom, there's a WhatsApp number, and there's a way to message in WhatsApp, and then that's where you can go. All right, so go ahead. We're going to start tracking the questions here. I'm going to start with some questions, and I want to work through some frameworks with you. I'm going to crack open a water here so we can get locked in and we can get settled. And if this was the morning, I would brew a pot of coffee. But it's 10:06 p.m. Dubai time, day 5. Last hurrah, let's go, baby. Polly says, knowing if there is something in your training helping with generating the traffic on the website. 100% inside of Monetize, there is a whole section on how to get people to be aware of your digital products, attracted to your digital products, and then positively responsive towards your digital products. So, excuse me real quick. There is copious amounts of not only direct, specific training in the core program itself of Monetize, but also in the digital product formula that Iman breaks down specifically for you over his shoulder as an application directly that you can model in a case study format. And on top of that, the coaches that are available to you, because you get up to 7, there's 7 coaching sessions per week for the next 52 weeks, and you get access to all of that. And you can use that as much as you want to as well. And then Ghostwriter OS creates the material that makes people attracted to your digital products for you. And then Ask Iman, the bonus today, you can ask Iman, and he'll tell you how to do it. The digital version, the digital clone of Iman, will be able to tell you exactly where to go and in what to do specifically in order to put eyeballs onto your digital products, if you will. Lovable is included. Lovable is not included. So for those of you who don't know, Lovable is a third-party site. It is like a vibe coding style AI application. And Lovable has its uses, and it's unbelievably great at a few things. It'll build the shells, but it will not make you money directly. So you can create outputs from your digital products to put your digital products inside of the websites that Lovable can create. And so that is one of the most powerful use cases of Lovable. And we just use that as an example. So that is specialized AI that will create web pages and landing pages for you. And what's really great is you put the content from Ghostwriter OS into an application like that. You can also use WAP. WAP will allow you to build the pages right inside of it, free of charge, in which you can sell your digital products. Abdal says, I will join Saturday. Awesome. Congratulations. I'm glad to see you. What should I do if my schedule is almost filled with studies and job? That is a fantastic question. That's a great question. I'm going to actually go over here because I want to talk about a little bit about how you get things done. So let me run down a rule set for you if I could. If this is of interest to you, give me a thumbs up after I drop it and tell me if this was valuable to you. There are 3 states of being in the online business, or really period when it comes to productivity. The 3 states of being are not knowing, action, and completion. So you either don't know, you're in action, or you've completed the action. That's it. And so if you don't know, you would take action to find out the answer to that. You say, how do I manage this on the side? You can say, well, let me put in some time, that's action, complete that time, and then I can assess if that time makes sense or not. The other attitude here, this is, it's not so much the time we have, it's what we do with the time we have. I think this is really important, and I think a lot of people mess this up. If you are consistent and can commit to a whatever time frame it is, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 5 minutes every other day, and by the way, don't be black and white about it. Have you ever seen that meme online, what people think consistency is, and it shows all these glasses of water that are half full for like 10 days straight, and then it says underneath this what consistency actually is, and some days the water level is this high, some days it's this high, some days it's this high, but there's always water in the glass. And every day there's water in the glass, there's a new glass with water in it. That's what real world consistency and therefore success in this business looks like. It is showing up as much as you can, as often as you can, and then you can actually shrink down the time per day you need to be successful with this if you have a major time constraint. Now, I love to practice the theory of constraints. And I'm friends with one of the gentlemen who owned the IP for the theory of constraints. And the theory of constraints says you can only go as fast as your biggest constraint allows. And so if your biggest constraint is time, then you can say, okay, what does my goal look like if I have to limit what I can put out there. And that's actually the biggest breakthroughs I've ever had in my life, was saying, if I could only do X and nothing more, how could I still get the result? So I love constraint thinking. If I could only create digital products that are 6 pages or less, and I wasn't allowed to create one that was more than 6 pages, how could I still create an excellent digital product? Isn't that an interesting thought? More often, success comes from what's called chunking down. Instead of considering all possibilities, what you would want to do is consider one possibility. So it's, by the way, this is why it's easier to double a business than it is to increase it by 10%. Because if I asked you, how many different ways could you grow your business by 10%? You could probably rattle off 100 different ways. And then you would look at those 100 different ways. And then you would be confused. You would say, which of these 100 ways should I pick? And you would be concerned that you were not going to pick the best way. And then you pick no way. This is called choice fatigue, by the way. But if you said I had to double my output, or 10x my output, there's probably only 1, maybe 2 ways in order to do that. And then it's easy to pick that. It's a better choice, and it's a less choices you have to make. Does that make sense? I know that's a different way of thinking, but this is how you get a different result, with a different way of thinking. And so in your case, if you could only do this 10 minutes a day, how could you ensure success with a limitation of just 10 minutes a day? If you could only create 1 product a week, how would you go about doing that? If you could only have 3 advantages and no other advantages, what would those 3 advantages are? And this crystallizes your thinking, and it allows you to make better choices. Yep. Oh, thank you so much for the appreciation. I like that. So I asked the guys today, specifically the languages. The software supports 13 different languages natively, 13 of the most popular languages. Here's the other cool thing about AI. Once you take the specialized output that you get from Synthesize and from Ghostwriter OS, then you can put that into general AI free general AI, and it will localize it into other languages as well. But the software supports the 13 most common languages out there. Duder says, question, what happens if you haven't been able to make your money back after a year? Then the resources that are available to you will continue to be made available to you. It's called stick with you until win with you guarantee. Work with you till you win guarantee. There you go. I got it right the 3rd time. Mohini says, hey, Jason, can you advise me how payment processing we have in place for me to receive my sales in my country? I have heard that we shall have PayPal here, but it's high tax for transferring. Okay. By the way, I have a couple stories too. I forgot to tell you that. I went in the memory bank because a lot of you seem to resonate with some of the stories I was telling yesterday. So I got some stories as well. So Mohini, you will be able to find a way to take payment processing. I do not know what country you're in, and therefore I'm not sure which one is the best for you. But between WAP and between all the other options that are available online, you will find a way to be able to take payment, my friend. When there's a will, there is a way, and there's always a way you can find it. Now, you may have a higher fee structure, and that would be unfortunate, but that doesn't mean it's still not worth doing. You feel me? You feel what I'm saying on that one, right? And then, you have to decide too as well. There's a reason why a lot of my friends don't live in the locations that they grew up in, and they end up moving somewhere else because their environment had friction that stopped them from being able to grow into who they knew they could be. And so they did everything they could to acquire, by whatever approach possible, the resources to change their environment. And so this can be a stepping stone for you, or you don't have to change your environment. If you have roots there and you want to stay there, you just have to accept that not every day is a sunny day. Some days there's going to be rain. And for you, you're in an environment where there's more rain, but is it still worth doing? Then you move forward with it, and I'm confident that you'll be able to. And if you can't, then obviously in the first 7 days when you go and look for it, you can get a refund after you join Monetize, if that is the case. But I don't think that's going to be an issue. If you signed up yesterday or any day before my specific bonuses, we will ship those to you in the near future. I have to inform my team, which I didn't tell them I was going to be doing this. And then the other one we have to schedule. So we have to find a time in my schedule to invite you to the live training, and then we'll send you the recordings and all that. So just hang tight. We will for sure take care of you. Okay. Once you sign up, Lizette says, I need to know, can I directly use Monetize after buying it? You can. Certain aspects are available to you, and others will be available to you and released at later times. Like the coaching will be on these dates, and some of the resources will be delivered later. But you can sign up right now, and you can start cooking on this right away. Funnily enough, I'll tell you an interesting story. When I was in 7th grade, so I'm trying to make this, I was grade 7, if I don't know outside of the United States what you would call that. I was about 12 years old, and I met this guy who's became a lifelong friend. He was the best man at my wedding, and I saw his name in the chat last night, and I was like, dude, like, what are you doing on here? And he says to me, I'll read the text, because I saw his name. I texted him when I got back, so he's back in Iowa. And I was like, hey, I saw you in the chat last night on the YouTube thing. And he says, great stuff today, man. And I'm finally digging into Monetize. So he got it back in April. So he signed up. So he popped on and got it back in April. He goes, I've been making products and synthesized during the live sessions. I'm not making this up. This is what he said to me, right? So far, that part seems stupid easy. Now I'm connecting the rest to get my first sale. So crazy, right? Like, you probably can't read it there. But yeah, so I was like, dang, that's good. So as soon as you get your hands on Synthesize, you can start really cooking with that very quickly. So yeah, that's available as well. I got a couple more questions I'm going to ask, and then I want to run through a couple frameworks with you and tell you a couple stories, and then I'll come back and answer more of these questions. Yeah. What could this 90-day marathon turn into business-wise? I do know, but I would love for you to find out. So this is Moon or Art. So the 90-day sprint, last time, here's what it turned into: $8.94 million for Monetize members in 90 days. I used to be really good at math when I was younger, but now I'm not so good. So if you just rounded that up to 9 million and then divided that by 90 days, what is that? 9 million, 90 days, 900,000 in 9 days. That's like $100,000 per day amongst members being processed through from the challenge last time. I know it will be a bigger number this time. I have a feeling it will be double at least the number this time. I wouldn't be surprised if they push $20 million in success stories through Monetize Mania amongst the members of Monetize 3.0. We'll see. Do me a favor. Contribute to that. Go there and kick some ass so I can be right. So I could tell Iman, I said, I predicted $20+ million on day 5, and then the 90-day challenge was done, and it was $25 million. So the more important thing is less the outcome. It's the fact that you're focused for 90 days and you have a reason to stay focused. So while you're focused, then the habit automatically develops as a side benefit, as a byproduct, if you will. And then when you're done, you have the momentum, you have the habit in place, you've created assets, because it doesn't really matter how much you make in 90 days. If you made $1 million in 90 days, that would be nice. But we need more than that over the lifetime for you to do everything that you want to do. Maybe not for all of you, but for most of you, that still isn't going to be enough long term. So less important is how much you make in 90 days. What's more important is you're moving in the right direction, where you can have the future be brought into your present sooner, not later. And then hey, who knows where we'll go from there. But so that's really the goal. That's really what we're working from. Okay. Okay. Let me get some clarification. I'm asking Max something because he asked me to clarify. So I will as soon as I get the answer back from him on this. Nice. All right. Excellent. Yeah. So, gamification, right? This is why video games are so addictive. This is just me. my children have very little access to video games. And this is coming from a guy that used to play video games for 4 or 5 or 6 hours a day with my friends, if not more. Now, thank God we didn't have the internet back then. We would play, I'm thinking like, we'd play NBA Live 95. We played that game forever. 1995, a little basketball game. We'd play Mortal Kombat, Mario Kart, all of those games. We'd play those games for hours and hours on end, and I don't really let my kids play more than a little bit of the video games these days but video games are really good at one thing, gamification. They constantly give you positive feedback cycles. So you do something and something good happens to you and you feel good about it. A little dopamine gets released. You do it again, feel good about it. What happens is after you're done playing them, you feel miserable. But that's how they make them addictive. It's addictive by design. We take a more holistic approach, but the same type of positive feedback within a healthy boundary, which is when you're competing in a supportive environment for 90 days, that is a positive feedback loop. And that allows you to be able to accomplish things similar to how you accomplish things if you were playing a video game. Because kids that say, Jason, I can't focus very long on hardly anything, but then they go and they play video games for hours and hours and hours on end, tells me you can focus, you just need the right set of conditions in order to unlock that focus. And you need the right things in place to have those actions naturally occur. So those are possible. So when you get on the leaderboard and when you start working through Monetize Mania, and there's a reward and there's status and that there's connection and that you have a goal to really get you electrified, because a purpose is the best alarm clock in the world. And now you have a purpose, and the purpose is a 90-day sprint. So that's why that's designed. It's kind of cool to throw the flashy stuff on the page and say, look what the prizes are and all that. But the real reason why we do that is to increase your results, because the more you succeed, the bigger WAP grows, and then the bigger Iman's stake in WAP gets from a dollar's perspective. Okay, got it. Okay. Oh, yeah, I do want to clarify something. So this was my screw up. So there are people that are from Iman's team reaching out to you through WhatsApp proactively. I apologize for that. So that was on me. They are people assisting, mostly helping those of you who are trying to check out, or if you've expressed any interest in signing up but had trouble signing up, they are assisting you with that as well. And then on top of that, if you tried to complete your order and had an issue with it, then they are assisting you with completing that order too. Okay, so my bad on that one. Hopefully that made things clear. And it should be, if you've done any positive action forward and then somebody reaches out to you on WhatsApp, that is totally okay. That is on our end. Now, obviously, if you are on the internet somewhere and somebody's sliding into your DMs outside of WhatsApp, if they're running if they are personally reaching out to you and it's shady and they're not anything, then just go straight to joiniman.com and go through there as well. Thank you for clearing that up with me, Max. I appreciate that. Woo, you gotta love it. All right, cool. My wife, I saw a comment from my wife come in on the YouTube chat. Shout out to my wife. And Asher wants to be shouted out as well. Can you give me a shout out to my parent? My parents will be proud of me. So Asher, Paul, shout out to you. I'm glad that you're making your parents proud. That makes me proud as a father to my very own children as well. Okay, cool. I have some more questions that I'm going to circle back to, but I want to give you a couple frameworks if I could. What I do with my clients that pay me lots of money and are happy to pay me lots of money is I really help them break through beliefs that they have that keep them stuck at the level they're at. And I never heard this phrase until earlier tonight when I was listening to Iman do his presentation for the VIPs. He said, every new level has a new devil. And I was like, ooh, that's a good one. I like that one. So it doesn't matter what level you're at. You're stuck at that level until you can have a breakthrough. How you have a breakthrough is you change a belief that limits you. So that way it no longer limits you, because you can only be as big as your biggest limiting belief. So if you have a limiting belief that says I'm only worth $2,000 a month, and that is your biggest limiting belief, then you will never get past $2,000 a month. And if by chance you accidentally bypass it, you will go back to it. This is why lottery winners are typically dead, in jail, or broke within 5 years. I don't know if you know that statistic, right? But over half of lottery winners, 5 years after they win the lottery, are either dead, broke, in jail, or miserable. I don't know if you could be all four of those at the same time. It's some crazily high statistic like that. I don't know if it's exactly 50% or not, but it is abnormally high. And that's because typically if you give somebody $1 million who doesn't have a millionaire's mindset, they will quickly find a way to return that money and go back to the level that they're currently operating at their belief system. And so over the years, I have been able to work through different beliefs. And for different people, you need to communicate with them to help them with their belief process, okay? And not everybody responds the same way. So I've developed a whole framework of different ways to help with shifting beliefs from limiting to empowering. Can I share some of those with you? Now, I normally do this intuitively off the top of my head. I don't come prepared. I can channel it. I can go with it. But I know a lot of you are asking me exactly how I communicate. It's been a big question. So I thought, you know what? I'll put some pen to paper and I'll map these out. So here's the first way in which you can shift a belief. You ready for it? It's called the as-if frame, and I use this one a lot. So if somebody comes to me and says, I don't have time, I would ask them, if you had time, what's the first thing that you would do? And that's one of the many responses that I could take to somebody. So somebody says to me earlier, Jason, I don't have time. I could say, if you did have time, what would be the very first thing you do? And that's incredibly powerful because at the heart of it is a bias towards action. When somebody says, I don't have time, guess what happens? They stop. And then they don't move forward. That belief prevents you from moving forward. But it's just a belief. It's a belief that can be shifted. It's a belief. Every belief you have to check in with it. Does it serve me or does it not? And so I will say to clients, okay, you don't have time, but if you had time, what's the very minimum thing you could do to move forward? And now I'm getting them to think about a different belief. And that's a belief is one small step, okay? This is called a bias towards action. You should condition yourself to have a bias towards action. Write that down if you could for me. The more you can condition yourself to have a bias towards action, the richer you will become. Bias towards action. As soon as I hear something, I'm immediately breaking it down. What's the first thing that I can do as a result of hearing this? And does it make sense to do this? And so I would rather not know the answer and still take action than try to find out the answer before I took action. Because often the answer is revealed only after you take the action. See, y'all got it backwards, right? Your parts are in upside down. You know how if you put a battery in something, but you put it in the wrong way, it doesn't work? It's not that the battery doesn't work. It's just inserted upside down. And so you think, when I know, then I'll take action. But oftentimes it's, I take action and then I know. So that's the as-if frame, okay? And the second one is the shift. So I like to shift it. There's three persons. Have you ever heard it? Third person perspective, second person perspective, third person perspective. I, you, they. Those are different perspectives, right? And so if somebody says to me, says, Jason, I can't do it. I say to them, this is really clever, by the way. This is multi-million-dollar level stuff. This is the stuff I had to work really hard to get past the most resistant beliefs that I would run up against with my clients on a day-to-day basis. They say, Jason, I can't do X, Y, and Z. So I can't create digital products. I can't get audiences to my digital products. I can't figure out which digital products to create. You could give me any one of those excuses. I say, okay, cool. Let me be you for a day. You take the day off. You've been working too hard. I will temp in for you. I will be temporarily you for the day. And I want to do the best job humanly possible. So in order to be you for the day, I need to know exactly the first thing that will tell me what I can't do. I need to know, how do you know you can't do it? Like, what's the first clue? If I need to not do something just like you, what's the first thing that will make me aware of, oh, this thing happened, now I can't do it? And what's the second thing, right? In what strategic ways can I make sure to only not do the things that I want to do but somehow can't do? And I need you to give me the details on this because I'm going to do it exactly like you. And here's what happens when you really get into this with somebody. What I have done there is helped you understand that this isn't a strength or this isn't a weakness. This is a very big problem that people have in this business of making money, and it frustrates me more than I could tell you. It drives me up the wall. They look at things as either negative states or positive states. They look at, I can't do something that's called helplessness. That's a state of helplessness in their mind. They say, I try something, I can't do it. I feel bad because I can't do it. And because you feel bad, you continue not to do it. You've attributed a negative emotion to an action or an inaction. You follow me? And maybe we'll run this back again, as I want to make sure this is really clear to you. I look at states in one of two categories. It's either useful or it's not useful. Not whether it's good or bad. Because not doing stuff is incredibly useful in many situations, isn't it? All of our kids at dinner, when we sit down at dinner at night, they're going to hate me after I tell this story. Maybe they're listening right now. All of our kids have something at the dinner table that we're working on with them right now. So our oldest daughter, when she eats, she's like bent over the table, very slouched over. So we're working on shaping a different behavior for her on that, right? And then my son, when he eats, he tends to eat like this with his food on the side, like instead of right in front of him. And then our youngest daughter, when she chews, sometimes she chews loudly, right? I want them to all not do any of those things. So it would be incredibly useful not to do those kind of behaviors that are limiting in that sense. And so not doing some things is an incredibly useful skill. We just got to know when to apply it and when not to apply it. So this is the law of utility. The law of utility says everything is useful under the right circumstances. Now, here's what's really cool. When I say, let me be you for a day so I can know exactly to hesitate where you hesitate, so I know exactly where to feel bad where you feel bad, so I know exactly in how to limit myself in the precise way that you limit yourself, guess what we do in that situation? We bring back the power to you. Because right now you're in a state of helplessness. I can't do it, therefore I shut down. I'm actually showing you that you are powerful. You are powerful because you are the one deciding whether you can or can't do it. And as we work through the decision-making criteria, you start to uncover things that were at an unconscious level and they become conscious. You say, when I look at a digital product and I think it's going to be incredibly difficult and complicated, therefore I shut down. So I say, okay, perfect. So if I want to be incompetent like you are and not be successful like you, then I have to do that and model that behavior as well. And then you say, do I really want to do that? And then your brain is so beautiful when you give it a new perspective. It starts getting new resources towards it that give it new answers. And then you say, okay, maybe there's an alternative way that I can do this instead. And that's really powerful. It's actually when you look at it from the perspective of, if I want to guarantee that I will never change, what needs to occur? And then you write those things down. And then you say, okay, I just got to do less of those things or not some of those things that I was doing before. And then I can shift it. And see, this is what's very difficult for me. This is what's very difficult for me. Because I know you are so much more capable. I wrote this quote down, right? And I'm going to read it to you. Then I'm going to pop in and answer some more questions here. And then we're going to come back and look at some more of these decision-making criteria. And then within them, I'll just show you here really quickly. I have stories. I don't know if you can see the colors. I've coded some stories that go along with these that we can tell as well. But there's a quote from Marianne Williamson. Okay? I'm guessing most of you do not know who Marianne Williamson is. It's an obscure person, especially like for a big male like me, white male, 42-year-old male. It'd be unlikely that you would think that a guy like me would read books like A Return to Love. That's where this quote comes from. This is like chick lit, as they would call it. But what I've found in my life that has served me well is I want to read all the books you read, and then I want to read the books you don't read. So in business, everybody reads business books, and then they only have the leverage that comes from those business books. But when I read therapy books, when I read psychology books, when I read communication books, when I read semantics books, when I read all sorts of different things from multiple different fields and then stitch them together, I get all kinds of insights. So I read things, I'm like, if these create movements, what's at the heart of them? And so one of those books is a Marianne Williamson book. And she has this quote in that book, A Return to Love, which is incredible. And it goes like this: our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And so this is what I find with people. This is what I discover when I do this in this business, because I know you are far more capable than you are ever aware of, because you don't know how to just remove one little limit. You just don't know how to take the lock off the door. The lock is there and you can just click it and it will go off and you can go through the door, but you just don't realize that you can turn the lock off and then you can go to a different room. And a lot of this is because it's harder for you to fathom the unlimited potential that you possess inside of you. And that's scarier of the vast possibility of greatness than the fear of trying something out and having some difficulty to it. That's the actual fear that you have. Well, you don't realize it yet, but we're working on it, right? The fear is, how capable could you become if you were just focused enough? What amazing things could you do and who could you help? It's infinite almost. That is more overwhelming than considering, oh, I got to create a digital product. That is more overwhelming than I got to learn a new skill and kind of, lock in for 90 days, right? That is way more scary and exciting. And fear and excitement are about the same thing, right? So there you go. I don't know. That's crazy, right? I don't think ever in Iman's YouTube channel you would ever think anybody would be quoting Marianne Williamson. But hey, if you missed the book, it can't help you. If you missed the program, it doesn't help. If I have 42 years of life experience and $250 million of wisdom to share with you and you don't accept the call, then it don't help. But if you do accept the call, you can go to joiniman.com. And when you do that here today, you get an extra special bonus, which is Ask Iman. Now, I work with all these incredible companies, and each one of them that are really cooking today, they created their own Ask Blank. I'm like, I got to create an Ask Jason. Maybe that'll be an extra special bonus that I can throw in to monetize in the future. No promises. But everyone that I know have one of those Ask Blank for their brands, and then they usually keep them internally. So they keep them internally so only their company can use them and benefit from them. So the fact that he's making this available to you for free as a bonus, Ask Iman, is insane. So when you go to joiniman.com, you're going to get that for a special bonus as long as you're here until the end of the night and you sign up before the end of the night. That's a nice little cool thing for you there. All right, so, thank you so much. Just the 7 minutes worth the entire 5 days. Thank you. He's such a good storyteller. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, great. So Chris says, hi, Jason. Thank you for your efforts. If an idea I have wouldn't gain traction before even going live, would the team provide advice? Yes, 100%. So those coaching calls are absolutely incredibly valuable to you. They're so good because you can get feedback from them. Ask Iman will also give you feedback on your topic. Plus, Synthesize will also point you in the directions that have higher chances of probability. Now, we got to play the balance game. The only feedback that matters at the end of the day is the marketplaces. So you can only gather so much intelligence before you have to take a step forward. And generally, people take too long collecting information and not enough time moving forward. Because what's the worst that can happen if you launch a product and it doesn't work? Like my friend Barth last night is building digital products while he's listening in on YouTube. While he's listening on YouTube, he's building the products. Yeah. You know, I'll tell you a story about Barth. You want to hear a story? This is such an interesting story. So he's one of the few guys that when I go back to Iowa, which the only reason I do is to see my dad, and I've only been there. I went to Iowa right before the last Monetize launch. So I was living in France, and I was thinking, France to Dubai, that's like 7 hours away. That's an easy flight. And then we had to go back prematurely. So I went from France to Iowa, because that was the only chance I was going to see my dad. And then I had to go to Las Vegas to work with a high-end client. And then I went to LA where our other home was at, checked in there really quickly for just a day, and then I flew out to Dubai. This was the last Monetize experience that I had. And, you know, when I go back to Iowa, which is very rarely, very few of my friends I see anymore, and Barth is one of them. And a couple of years ago, Barth was starting like an IT business, and he's done pretty well with it. And you know, doing security and installations for different companies and banks and stuff like that, right? And we were sitting down there, and he was telling me about starting his new business in the IT space. And we talked for 4 hours. We had a 4-hour dinner because you know Jason Fladlin, right? This boy could talk, and I'm coaching Barth because I'm just so passionate. My biggest problem is I want it more for other people than they want it for themselves. It's a curse as much as it's a blessing. And I'm talking to Barth, and I'm like telling him this, and I'm telling him that. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. And man, you can leverage it over here and leverage it over there. And after 4 hours, we get ready to leave. So we're at this hotel. I'm getting ready to go to my room. He's getting ready to head home. I turn to him and I look at him, and I said to him very innocently, and I didn't even recognize this till he reminded me later. I said, Barth, I go, I think I'm more excited about this than you are. And then I went to my room and I went to bed. And then many months later, I went back to Iowa and I saw him again. And he says, you know what, Jason? We went out, and he says, I got to tell you something. He goes, when you said that comment to me, when you said, I'm more excited about this than you are, he goes, that really hit me like a bolt of lightning. And he goes, that's when I became serious about it. And then he built up a pretty successful business. You know, I think he was landing like a 6-figure contract in the security space. So, whew, yeah. So the thing is, to wrap this point back up, is you have to have the bias towards action. Because I sat there with him for 4 hours. I gave him everything he needed, and he was still hesitant. But then that last thing shifted that belief in him. And that belief made him feel worse to stay the same. And then he changed automatically. And it hit him. And there was no malice there. I just want what's best. I just had pure desire to see him do the best he possibly can, just like I do for all of you. And then that's how it resonated with him there. But yeah, so you will get feedback, and you will get support, and you have multiple redundancies of all of those things. Plus, what's the worst that could happen if you move forward? You create a product very quickly with Synthesize, and maybe it doesn't hit. And then what you do is, A, you go back and say, what did I learn from this that I can invest in the next product? And then you also now have an asset that you could put into the next product. You now have something you can make as a bonus to the next product, right? Let's run it back one more time, because I snuck in a little special thing for you right there that I do automatically, that I have to now make myself consciously aware of because I'm unconsciously competent at it. I said, what did I learn about this that I can invest in the next thing? Did you catch that? That's one of my best thinking rubrics that I've ever came up with. A lens at looking at life. That's one of my most empowering ways that I look at life. I say, what could I learn from this that I can invest into the next version of this? So what did I learn from this digital product creation experience that I can invest in the next digital product that I will create? And that's a utility frame, right? That's a frame that's useful. That's not, it either helps or harms you. And in this case, this is creating a positive association for me to move forward, knowing that I'm safe to move forward. And then I do it again. But if we get stuck in that, let's see if it's the right, I don't know if it's the right, I'm not sure it's the right. We don't actually learn enough to invest in the next product, because there is no next one, because we're still on our first one. And if you want to get started on your first one, go to joiniman.com. And when you go to joiniman.com, if you sign up before the end of the day, you get all the bonuses that are on that page. Plus, you get the Ask Iman bonus, which is insane. We were talking about it downstairs, me and the boys. We were kind of laughing. I'm like, objectively, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I'm like, Ghostwriter and Synthesize are so much more powerful as software, like as tools. They're insane. I said, but people go craziest over Ask Iman, who's used all of them. And I go, it kind of makes sense because it feels natural when you're going back and forth and having a conversation with a human versus when you're building a software that you've had no experience with. So I'm like, I think that's why it has such positive attribution. And then when it has positive attribution like that, it catapults you in more to use the software and get more from the software, right? So I'm like, it may not be the most overall powerful way for you to get online and get started in your business, but it's the one that people tend to find the best immediate usefulness out of, and then it is synergistic with the other resources, tools, and everything else you get at joiniman.com. Hi, Jason. What are your ungovernable traits? I've been giving some of them to you, God. I'll give some more to you, I promise, as well. I have them in the document here, so we'll definitely break them down. I like that. Martha says, are there going to be any lessons on how to properly monetize for our digital products? Yes, 100%. It would be a downright nightmare if we sold you this program and then didn't give you the exact step-by-step process in order to get a result. It would be nightmarish for two major reasons. One, we would have a lot of upset customers on our hands, which is not good for us. That would be really dumb for us as a business decision. And two, and more importantly, WAP does not grow unless you all collectively are successful with it. And our main intent is to see WAP grow. I mean, Iman has ownership in it. I get so much deal flow from WAP itself. They always send me over their top clients because they know anybody they send to me, I make richer. It's a magic trick I have. For my next magic trick, I will take your company and make it worth more. Ta-da! It's pretty cool. It's a great magic trick. So the guys at WAP, they feed me some of their top producers because I go and make them a bunch of money, and then everybody wins as a result of that. And so we want to see you succeed, so we give you all the necessary steps involved. This is why you have a training program that does it step by step. You also have Iman doing it step by step where you can look over his shoulder. You also have the coaches to fill in the gaps in between or to help assess it and personalize it to your specific situation. Now you have Ask Iman today when you sign up. And you have other resources like those and other documentation to help you as well. But it's a fantastic question. If you are a VIP, I will try to be cryptic about this because we made an announcement for VIPs earlier and only for VIPs. VIPs get special preferential treatment on bonuses that we may have discussed over the last few days, regardless of their time of signing up. That's a perk of being a VIP. And it was something that we decided today, and I didn't even know about it until the VIP session here today. So VIPs, bonuses, you have a whole different experience with any and all bonuses that we've mentioned. Don't be surprised when they show up in your monetized members area. Let me walk you through a couple other frameworks, okay? Here's a really good one. This is called chunking down. So when I work with clients and I see them stuck in an area, I chunk it down. So, and I did this for myself. When I wrote my first book, which ended up making me millions and millions of dollars, I didn't write a book. I wrote a page, and then I repeated that 320 times. So I did not write a book. I wrote one page 320 times consecutively. And I wrote it at the time when we were doing like a $15 million launch, like a big ass launch. And I was in massive demand. And I would just wake up in the morning for 30 minutes and saying, I just got to write a page today. And then I would write a page. It's called chunking it down. I read a book called what was it called? Tiny Little Habits by BJ Fogg. And this book was very profound. Now, my wife read it twice. She read it in France. It was so funny. I remember seeing her. We'd get up in the morning in France. I would work at the table because we had this beautiful view outside of the table. Like, there's a private landing strip in Cannes where all the like rich people come in and all the celebrities and stuff. And I'd be on the top of the hill and I'd watch these planes fly in and land. And so I'd be working in the morning and she'd be there reading in the morning after breakfast. It was the kids would go to school and then when that was our time. And she was like, I don't get this book. I'm like, this book is great. Just keep reading it. And she was getting frustrated with me. And finally, I just said, it boils down to this. And I told her, I said, this is why. She goes, what did you get out of this book? And I said, here's what I got out of this book. I said, I was having trouble maintaining a normal physical fitness routine. I just couldn't do it. I was trying really hard and failing, trying really hard and failing. I was inconsistent with it and all this. And at the time, I would eat oatmeal in the morning when I would wake up. So I would wake up in the morning, and then when I was ready to break fast, I would have oatmeal. Now, I just do the regular oats. And so I would boil them on the stove. So I'd put the water on the stove. I would wait for it to boil, and when it did, I'd put the oats in there and cook them. As I was waiting for them to boil, I would do a single push-up. That's it. Not a workout, not 100 push-ups. I would do one push-up, and I would not allow myself to do more than one push-up. Because this comes from the book where he says, if you want to start flossing just one tooth a day. That's it. No more, no less. And then after a couple days, here's what happened. First of all, if you make a goal so small that you cannot fail at it, then success is inevitable. And I want you to have inevitable success. So what you need to do for some of you is if you're having trouble moving forward, you chunk down. You slim it down to the smallest thing possible so it would be impossible to fail. And then here's what happens. You also reverse the association of the feelings associated with it. So after a few days, I felt really foolish only doing one push-up. So then I started doing 2 push-ups, and then I started doing 3. And I would now get upset that I wasn't able to work out more and get frustrated that I wasn't able to work out more. When before I was getting frustrated because I wasn't working out enough. So I just changed the association. And now when I was so frustrated because I was only allowed to do so little, boom, instantaneously, very quickly, the most efficient way I've ever adopted a habit was that. It's called chunking down. So if you become more frustrated with not being able to take action than you do with taking action, then taking a massive action will be automatic. And so this is what you need to do with your digital product business. Don't make $1 million, make $1 and then repeat that action 1 million times. That's how every millionaire has made it done, $1 at a time. They didn't make $1 million. They made $1 and then they repeated it 1 million times. So you don't have to create a product that makes $10,000. You just have to create a product that has the ability to make a single dollar. This is what we need to do here. We need to reduce the full outcome to the smallest piece that is easiest for you to manage. And then you do it. And then you say, I just crushed it. And then you take the next part and you shrink that down to the smallest piece of it. And then you go off and you crush that. And then pretty soon, a beautiful thing called momentum kicks in. And when momentum kicks in, then you don't have to think about it anymore. It's a temporary state of this conscious focus on the thing. And then you say, and then you get on. You saw our guests, didn't you? Our guests were like, yeah, now we make $1 million. First product was like $800. Armando was like, hey, I just started here. And then little action, and then boom, it blows up. The way you get big is you do a few small things consecutively, and then big happens automatically as a result. Yeah. I'll talk about cognitive flexibility here in a minute because this is an ungovernable trait for me personally that has served me incredibly well. And I notice with people that struggle, they have what's called cognitive inflexibility. So I'm going to highlight that now, and then I'm going to come back to it. And we're going to break down and we're going to do a little analysis on what cognitive flexibility is. I'll model it for you. You can try it on. If it empowers you, fantastic. Then go to joiniman.com and use that new form of empowerment and attach it to what I think is the most powerful business model on the internet, okay? But let me just check in. Let me look at some more questions here. And thank you, team, for loading these up for me. I appreciate that. How easy is it to consume the program? Are there going to be lessons? Yep. So consumption is incredibly easy. One of the things that I like about Iman and his team is just because you're an expert on something doesn't mean you're an expert on teaching it. Can we agree on that? I wrestled a lot. I have a wrestling story I'll tell you later as well. But one of the guys that I wrestled with was a guy named Howard. And Howard was an incredibly good wrestler. He wouldn't know where he was at most of the day, and he would get lost on his way to the wrestling mat. Like he was in his own little world. But you put him on that mat, and he was incredible. He got second place at state in his final year. He won every match except for the last one. He ran into some buzzsaw. But if you asked Howard, hey, Howard, how are you so good at wrestling? He could not tell you. He would look at you blankly as if you were speaking through him. So he was intuitive and he could do it, but he could not explain it. Other people are really good at explaining it, but they can't do it. And you have to be careful because they will sound good in theory, but it won't live in practice. So what you really need to be successful with anything, and this is a good thing for you to look at with any investment you make, is you want to have people that are skilled both at doing it as well as teaching it. And I am personified, ain't I? Would you agree with me that I am incredibly good at what I do, and I'm incredibly good at communicating it to you so you can do it as well, or at least understand it? Now, I'm doing it in a different sense. However, inside of the program, it's done in the same exact approach with how to do it in Monetize. So their course design, this is what I call this, because I consult with a lot of companies on how to do proper course design. Their course design is an A+. It is fabulous. It is laid out so it is the easiest for you to understand, access, and follow, and it's created by Iman, who's obviously a top expert at the digital product space. So it's a fantastic question. Good question. Thank you for that. Okay. I was previously failed. Okay, so Top Gamer says, I was a previously failed drop shipper with my nephew. I want to know everything about this industry. You do not want to know everything about this industry. You want to know enough about this industry. You want to know the most important things about this industry that will help you succeed in it. You do not want to know everything about this industry. You want to be woefully ignorant on the things that won't serve you inside of this industry. But here's what I will tell you about the industry of the digital product industry. It is the fastest growing industry on the internet right now in terms of product. AI is the fastest growing technology in terms of technology. So when you combine the two together, this is where things get cool. They get crazy. This is when things happen that normally can't happen under normal circumstances. And that's the digital product business. Now, here's what you need to know about the digital product business. A digital product isn't just a PDF. This is typically what we reference, but it's more than that. A digital product is any product that somebody can purchase that can be delivered digitally. That is what a digital product is. Iman and I were talking last night after I got off of the session. We were downstairs and we were talking. And, I was saying to him, I go, it's frustrating for me because people don't have many frames of references on what a faceless, non-expert digital product is. I'm like, you and I know what they are. You and I have had massive experience with them. We see them. We know how powerful they are. I said, but the average user, even when they're in front of them, they don't know what a non-expert digital product, a faceless non-expert digital product is. They have trouble really understanding that. So I was explaining, I was having this story with him, and he was funny. He's like, Iman was like, I know, it's crazy. And then he started rattling off, this is a faceless, non-expert digital product. This is one, 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 this is one. I go, yeah, I know. The reality is there, but the perception isn't as strong as the reality of it. So what I have to do is help you understand and lay your perception over the reality. Because the reality is the fastest growing segment inside of digital products itself is faceless, non-expert digital products. I don't know if you saw this, but OpenAI just dropped something the other day to compete with TikTok, right? Every day there's something crazy and cool that's happening with AI. And so AI is making it easier by the day to not have to be you on the camera or your voice on the audio. And that's general AI. So the tool, the technology is there. Now, what that video says, how it's spoken, what topic it's on, that's when you need specialized AI. That's when you need the AI that we got to combine it with it. And then you can create a variety of different digital products in varieties of different formats as a result of having that. And that's the most important things that you need to know about the digital products industry right now. I helped a lot of people in the drop shipping days. I will tell you, me personally, I didn't go into drop shipping. I didn't teach people how to drop ship. I taught people how to sell on Amazon, and I taught people how to sell products on Shopify. I did not ever recommend drop shipping, and I'll tell you why. I never thought it was a great customer experience. And I am very pro customer experience. I don't like models where the customer experience suffers. And drop shipping where you don't control the chain of when they get the product, who they get the product from, the quality assurance of the product. I never liked that. So I never got behind drop shipping. I would never yuck somebody else's yum. If you like drop shipping and you wanted to try it, I would never discourage you from trying it. But I never partnered with a drop shipping company because I thought that the market, that the model wasn't as pro-consumer as other models. And this is why I like the digital product business, because it is ultra pro-consumer as a model. That's why I like, hey, when we sold on Amazon, we'd have to get the products from China. We'd have to pay a lot of money to send them over to the United States. We would examine them from quality. And once they were good, then we would have them sent to Amazon. And then Amazon would go and they would pick, pack, and ship them because Amazon could ship them better than anybody in the United States. It just was incredibly expensive. And now Amazon was pro-consumer, but they were anti-seller. They did everything they could to get enough sellers on board, and then they said, thank you, and then they kicked the sellers off, and they took the products for themselves. And I get why they did that in a physical product business, because it cost them so much money up front themselves in order to do that. And Jeff Bezos isn't happy unless everybody else loses, not just that he can win alone. So we have a different game that we're playing here. So a thing like WAP, all of it's powered by third-party sellers. And because distribution is instantaneous worldwide, they don't have the friction points that Amazon has. And so they have the apps in there that you can easily configure on the delivery side of your digital product that make it exceptional as an experience as well that you can configure too. So that's what I really, really like about this digital product business. Can you make multiple products in WAP under different industries? 100%. I hope you break the record. I don't know what the record is, but I hope you publish more products on WAP than anybody ever has. If we don't get monetized, what should we do with this business model? What you should do with this business model is the same. You just got to do it more manually. It's really, really simple. What you do is you find a problem that a lot of people have that are willing to pay money to solve and that will buy a digital product to solve. And then you say, can I reach those people, or can I attract those people to me? And then if you can, then you go to work. Then you create that product, and then you use an attraction model to attract them to you. That's how you should do it. Yeah. It's just that one is a lot more difficult, and it has a higher rate of failure the first few times you do it. So is it still worth doing? Yes. I mean, I'm biased though. Digital products changed my life in every way imaginable. When I became a monk, I'm going to get to the cognitive flexibilities in a second, but let me tell you about the time I became a monk. This is crazy, okay? I'm 20 years old. I'm living with my dad in this tiny little apartment in Muscatine, Iowa, and I have a TV, but I have these little cinder blocks. You know what I'm talking about? That was the TV stand. So a bunch of cinder blocks sitting in the freaking living room, which was my bedroom, because the whole apartment had one bedroom. So my dad took the bedroom. I slept in the living room. I had this cinder blocks with the TV on it. And I would watch the TV, and during commercials, I would go out and get on the internet. Because this was before smartphones and all that. So I'm 20 years old. This would be 2003. And I'm drinking a Natural Light, which is like the piss equivalent of beer, right? Budweiser is already terrible beer. Busch Light is the generic version of Budweiser, and then Natural Light is the generic version of Busch Light, like the cheapest beer that you could get. And so I would drink a lot. I would drink just enough beer back then because I'd have panic attacks every single day of my life. So I was self-medicating. And so I was watching Clueless, the show, the movie Clueless. Alicia Silverstone, Beverly Hills High School. She's, you know, it's apropos of the state of mind that I was in because I was clueless at the time. And so I'd watch it, and during the commercials, I'd go out and, you know, get on the internet. And my friend Fran, he was the best musician I'd ever met in my life. And Fran was a little out there, or should I say a lot out there. And one time he went and started traveling with the Hare Krishnas. And he was vegetarian. And I was atheist at the time, to the core. But I thought this vegetarian stuff is kind of interesting. So I was always very curious. And that was one of my favorite traits of who I was as an individual. And I continue to be very curious to this day. Let me see what happens. I'm very curious to find out. I don't get attached so much to winning and losing. I get attached to what will happen once this is done, which is a more empowering state towards action, by the way. And so I said, you know what, Fran he's a vegetarian. Let me learn about vegetarianism. So I started Googling during a commercial break of Clueless while I was sipping my Natural Light, and I started reading about vegetarianism, and I saw this article, and I'm like, wait a second, this is written by a devotee in the same religion that my friend Fran practices. So I started reading it as Clueless was playing in the background. And I read this article, and then in that article, there was somebody that says, if a sane man is presented with something and he tries it and he sees benefit, he will continue with it. And that's all I ask of you. And this was the founder of the Hare Krishna movement that brought it over to the Western world. And I thought, wow, my life is dog shit right now. There's nothing really good about it. It's a miserable existence. I'm desperate, so I'll try this out. And so I started reading it. The Bhagavad Gita, online. This is a digital product. Think about that. And it saved my life. Within, I started reading it, and I started doing a little bit of it, a little bit more. My anxiety became a little bit less, and then it was completely gone. And then I said, I'm going to keep doing it. And next thing you know, I'm full blown in there. Because I tend to, when I get into something, I really get into something. Have you noticed, by the way, that I tend to have that tendency? But that was a digital product, in a digital form that saved my life. I cannot describe how much that saved my life. It was what I needed. Okay. So I can find many instances in my life where information products prior to the internet were so profoundly impactful to me, and then a digital product literally saved my life. Now, I don't tell that story very often. It's very personal. I don't even like using the monk thing. Like, Jay Shetty, he got incredibly famous using it. It was the first 12 years I was in business, I didn't even tell anybody. I kept it quiet. So now I tell these under circumstances where I feel comfortable and where I feel appropriate. Since we've been together for 5 days, since this is the Q&A session, and I know it gets cut out of the YouTube, right? I feel comfortable telling you this story, but a digital product literally saved my life. It literally saved my life. Yeah. And I have another story of tragedy that I don't know if I'll tell it tonight. I had it in the presentation that I did yesterday, and I took it out. And that same digital product came to me again during that time and saved my life again. So when I speak to you about digital products, this is where it comes from. This is why I think this is so powerful. This is why this is my favorite model, and I would love for you to be a part of it. So you can be a consumer in this business, and you can be a producer, or you can be a consumer, or you can be a producer. I want you to be both a consumer and a producer of digital products. I want to shift you just from consumer into producer as well. And I would love for you to join us at joiniman.com. You get that extra special, only available today, time-limited bonus, which is Ask Iman, the AI version of Iman. that you can have, and you can have a conversation with trained specifically on his knowledge, his domain, his IP, all of that good stuff. All of that good stuff. Hell yeah. Okay. How do we make this possible? Okay. So I answered that question. Sorry. Yeah. Iwan says, would you advise to act fast and make products as watching the tutorials on Monetize or watch all the videos prior? Great question. No, I recommend that you take action as you go along. That's a great question, by the way. Here's the natural tendency of the human being, and I've studied human beings. I'm an expert on them, at least in some areas. The tendency is, I will not start anything until I complete everything. That's the tendency. And that is unbelievably dangerous when it comes to your finances. If you model successful people, you will see the opposite is true. I will take in the minimum amount of information necessary so I can immediately move it into action. I have this guy named Victor, client of mine from many, many years ago. I spoke in Sao Paulo last year. So my wife, my kids, we fly out from Sao Paulo and we get there. And as soon as we land, Victor is leaving Sao Paulo, and it was so excited because he was from Sao Paulo. And I go there, and let me see. I can find a picture of this. This is really cool. So I go there and I meet him, and Victor loves me to death because he says I said one thing to him that completely changed his life. And the one thing I said to him, and this is back in 2010, I want to say, or 2009, is I said to him, I go, this is how I've been very productive in my business, all the way back in 2010. I said, I developed what I call the study to action ratio, and I would love for you to model this and write this down right now, study to action ratio. And I said, it goes like this. The study to action ratio should always be at the bare minimum at least 1-to-1, meaning that for every hour you study, you should at least follow it up with 1 hour of action. And I said, the goal is to move from 1-to-1 to 2-to-1. Every hour that you consume is then met with 2 hours of action. And then I said, real successful people have at least a 4-to-1 ratio, meaning that for every hour of consumption, there's minimum 4 hours of action on it. And I said, me personally, because I've been tracking this, I have a 16-to-1 ratio. For every 1 hour of consumption, I have 16 hours of action on average. That's my ratio, my study to action ratio. So I was explaining this one day to this group that I was training with, and Victor was in that group. And when Victor heard that, it was the thing needed for him to completely change his life. Okay? There's Victor right there. So when I went to Sao Paulo and I landed, he had this book that I published and only distributed 100 copies, and it was called 6 Lessons I Will Teach My Newborn Daughter. So remember the other day when I said my first 6-figure month with a digital product was the same month that my daughter was born? I wrote a book then, and I just distributed it to a handful of clients. And Victor was one of it. He held onto that book for 14 years. To show me that and take a picture with me with that. He has the picture on his screen. This is on my phone. He took a picture with his, it's not on my Apple, on my photos here. And then he had me sign it. And that was Victor, right? Study to action ratio. For 1 hour of consumption, you should follow it up with an hour of action. So you can pare that down. For 10 minutes of study, 10 minutes of action. So my answer to you, Iwan, is that you would take enough information and then follow it up immediately with action. Then come back and get more information, and then proceed with more action. This is the best approach that the most successful people take. Damn, isn't this good stuff? This is why I charge so much when people work with me. This is one of the reasons of many reasons why Iman possesses so much intelligence and so much genius in this business, because he knows these things. He practices what I like to call positive financial engineering. He finds a way to spend a lot of money and then allow you to get the benefit of his massive expenses for a much, much smaller investment on your part. And so I won't tell you how much he pays me, but you know that Iman invests in the finer things in life, right? And I am the equivalent of that as far as talent goes. So it's a substantial amount. And then he's found a way to do that and give it to you for free. He's set up a situation to where I can impart to you massive amounts of value and knowledge, and you can consume it all for free. You don't have to join joiniman.com in order to get that value. You just have to show up. And for some of you, this value will translate and be the reason why you sign up. And then also not just sign up, but show up in a way that will allow you to be more successful. And therefore, he will recoup a multiple return on the investment that he put in with me. And I will return the investment that I'm putting in with you in here. And then also it comes back around. It always does in this business. Here's a belief that has served me very well that I would love to pass on to you. It always comes back. If you do enough good things in life, it always comes back. Maybe not as fast as you would like, maybe not in the shape and form that you can immediately understand and recognize, but it always comes back. And it comes back multiplied. It always does. The work you put in to plant the seed comes back tenfold in the fruit that it bears. Isn't that wonderful? It's just that you got to put a little in first before you get it out. That's just how it works. That's just how it's set up, okay? I'm going to answer another question, then I want to talk about cognitive flexibility. How can I access the alchemy of self? So this is for the VIPs. Inside of your VIP program, on the left-hand side in the delivery system that you got as a VIP member, it'll be there on a desktop. I'm not sure how it looks on a mobile device. It'll be Alchemy of Self. But if you have any issues, just reach out to support@monetize.com, and they can help you. Saif says, but how much it costs? Like, what the heck are you guys talking about? I'm going to make an assumption here. The cost, and I call these investments, everything's an investment, nothing is a cost, is $19.95, can be financed, and it's at joiniman.com, and that gets you everything. Gets you the training, it gets you the guarantee, it gets you the product insurance, it gets you both software that are specialized in AI, specifically with digital products, it gets you the coaching, it gets you a whole bunch of other stuff. I can pull the whole thing up here. It gets you 12 months of coaching, seven sessions per week, digital product formula, which is Iman specifically implementing the step-by-step process, which is taught in the program, which is called Monetize. It gets you access to the contest, which is Monetize Mania, which is a 90-day sprint with $350,000 in prizes up for grabs. It gets you Synthesize AI, which will create your digital products for you. It gets you Ghostwriter OS, which will attract people to want to purchase your digital products from you. You also get the Success Tribe, which I didn't really ever talk about, and we focused on as a bonus today that we had behind the scenes. But when you have so much stuff, you can't talk about all of it. So you get Success Tribe as a bonus as well. You get 100 plus profitable, non-expert digital products listed for you. You get the perfect product insurance policy, meaning that they'll work with you until you 10x your investment. If you don't 10x it in the first 60 days, you get Ask Iman, which is the digital equivalent of Iman in digital form that you can put in your pocket and access 24/7, 365 and ask it any question you want and get insight back from him. You get all that at joiniman.com. $19.95 financing is available if that makes sense to you. That's what you get. Okay. Can all those different niches or products be housed under the same one WAP storefront, or do we need multiple WAPs? You could all be housed under one. You don't need multiple ones. Now, strategically, you might want different ones because you wouldn't want to sell two products that are in two different markets, maybe under the same umbrella when it comes time to do that. But up front, just keep it simple and just do one. Yep. Will Monetize help those who join if they get an idea but have trouble setting it up? 100%. This is why the coaching is there. It is a valid question, and I'm glad you asked that. And I'm guessing where that question comes from because you've invested in programs in the past where that hasn't been the case. So I want to acknowledge that. It is unfortunate that in this industry, some people don't follow through with the products that they sell you. It unfortunately is a reality, and it is more rule than exception, unfortunately. So we should be the change we wish to seek in the world in this regard, and it starts with us. At Monetize, you get the coaching to help and support you alongside of the program, alongside of the training, alongside of all the software and every other resource as well. All right, let me talk to you a little bit about cognitive flexibility. Pretty much everything I do at the heart of it is cognitive flexibility. The average person, and especially the person that is stuck and can't move forward, they are in a state of what's called cognitive inflexibility. They generally see the world through a dichotomous viewpoint. And what do I mean by that? Well, let me give you some dichotomous pairs, and then this will become clear and evident to you. Win, lose, good, bad, happy, sad. You follow? You see that? I can keep going, right? We tend to simplify the world around us, reduce things down into a yes-no state. Either I'll succeed or I will fail. Either I will be happy or I will be sad. Either I will be rich or I will be poor. Either it will be expensive or it will be cheap. These are all dichotomous pairings. And so unfortunately, what happens is people say, I am scared, and therefore people who fail are scared. And since I'm feeling scared, I will fail, so therefore I won't do it. So they say, if I feel bad, that means I can't do it. And so therefore I won't. So if bads don't, if feel good do. And that's dangerous, because typically the things that feel good without effort harm you in the long run. And typically the things that feel difficult initially help you the most in the long run. And so cognitive inflexibility is you think a certain way and you get stuck, and then you can't get out of the rut that you put yourself in the first place. And so part of cognitive flexibility is shifting perspective. So when I say, let me be you for a day, I want to know exactly how I can fail in the same way, shape, and form that you can fail. I want to know how to hesitate just like you hesitate. I want to know exactly when I have to put myself down and shame myself and talk bad about myself and think myself lesser. Like, when do I do that? Do I do that in the morning or do I do that in the evening? Do I do that before coffee or after coffee? I am giving you cognitive flexibility. I am helping you see it from a different perspective. And then all of a sudden, now you can feel a different way about it. And if you can feel a different way about it, you can do a different thing as a result of it. And anything is better than doing nothing if you're stuck at nothing. Anything is. So this is called cognitive flexibility. Yeah. So people will say, some people will tell you, they will flat out tell you the following. I'll give you some phrases that you'll hear the marketplace say. Anybody who sells a digital product is a scammer. We call that cognitively inflexible. They have taken a generalized standpoint with no room otherwise. And so if you sell a digital product, then you too will also be a scammer, right? They will say things like, if he's so successful, why would he teach it to you? Why wouldn't he just do it himself? So therefore, he must not be successful if he's selling it to you instead of doing it himself. It must not work anymore, or it never did work if he's doing it, or if he's selling it to you instead of just doing it and keeping it for himself. That's cognitively inflexible. And you can very easily find many examples of successful people that learn how to do it better by teaching it to others. By the way, isn't it true that the more you teach it to others, the better you learn it yourself? You want to learn something? Teach it to somebody else. And this is another reason why I love the digital product business. Some people will literally sell, nobody buys digital products anymore. They'll say this. They'll say, everything's free on the internet, Jason. I could go to YouTube and I can get all the information. I can listen to podcasts and I can get all the information. Everything is free. Nobody buys digital products. Tell that to Armando, who retired his dad, that nobody buys digital products, right? So one good question that you should ask yourself is this, and I've practiced this for many years and it's served me very well. Are you sure enough to be unsure? Write that down. Am I sure enough to be unsure? Oftentimes, your certainty is what's costing you your financial independence. You are so certain the way things are, that you cannot change your viewpoint. And if you can't change your viewpoint, you can't change your income. So are you certain enough to be uncertain, right? So when you speak in such declarative statements with such certainty, you better bring a fucking bucket of proof behind you to validate that claim. You better be very, very certain of that claim and validate it from a variety of different angles before you hold on to it as strongly as you hold on to it now. So if you say to yourself, Jason, I don't know if I can do this. I don't think I have what it takes. Are you certain enough to be uncertain about that statement? Have we done a full analysis of all the proof to validate that is absolutely true? And does it have any wiggle room? Are you 100% certain that you can't do this? Or are you 92% certain you can't do this? Because if you're 92% certain that you can't do this, I'll take that. Give me the 8% of you then that thinks you might be certain, and we can have a conversation with that. We could say, okay, what percentage of certain do you need to be to move forward? That's a right or downer. You don't have to be 100% confident to move forward. You don't have to feel 100% successful to do something. You don't need to know 100% of the story to get the result from it, right? What is the minimum percentage you need to feel safe enough to take one step forward? This is cognitive flexibility. The more you can be cognitively flexible, the more you can be profitable. And this is why I work with you. This is why I have discovered a system where I can simultaneously sell you a product, because I'm pitching right now. I am selling you. I am hard selling you because I'm closing and I'm closing and I'm closing and I'm closing. And I can still provide massive amounts of value to you. Do you find this valuable, by the way? Independent of whether you purchase or not, has our time been well spent together today and in the previous days? Have you not grown as a result of our discussion? I know many of you have, because you've sent me messages saying as such. My wife says to me when I called her last night when I got back to the hotel room, she says, hubby, she likes to call me hubby. She goes, you got maybe at least 30 messages. Because she checks all my social medias. I don't check it. I don't like being on social media. And she says, you got at least 30 messages from people talking about how much they love how you love your family and how important your family is to you. And that was really powerful to me to see that. And I'm glad you saw that. Because it's just who I am. I carry it with me everywhere I go, right? So I know that many, many of you have gotten value as I am selling you hard. And here's what everybody believes. If you sell somebody hard, then you can't provide value to them. You either provide value or you sell them. You certainly can't do both. And I would sit there, I say, what needs to happen for me to be able to do both? So here's something I learned from my friend, Dr. Alan Bernard. He has this saying, when somebody says impossible, he adds the words less, ... next to it. That's impossible. Unless, ... That's impossible unless, and I use the same kind of thinking. What would it take for this to be true? How could I simultaneously do both? And then you work through it. And then if you think it can be done, it can be done. If you think it can't be done, it can't be done. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Yeah. And I think that a lot more of you are already ready to join at joiniman.com. How's that for the double words? That was very, very awkwardly phrased. I think more of you than you realize in the chat are ready to sign up. I think more of you should sign up right now than have signed up. And I think more of you are qualified to sign up, and more of you know you need to sign up, and you just haven't quite found a way to go to joiniman.com and say yes, just quite yet. I'm very confident that I'm talking to well-qualified individuals right now. And I know that doesn't mean it's going to be easy for you to do that. And I know that there's going to be nights even after you sign up when you're going to second guess yourself. Guess who second guesses themselves? Anybody with a brain and an active heartbeat. That's who second guesses themselves, okay? But that doesn't mean that we still can't do amazing things and move forward. Second guessing yourself is natural. It's good to check in with yourself again. When you second guess yourself, though, and you think that that is the end of things, and then you feel bad about it, and that's the only way you feel, then that's cognitive inflexibility, right? How can we check in with ourselves and validate if we're on the right path or not and still continue to move forward? And again, and I always go back to this, this is just how I do it. You tell me if it will be helpful to you or not. Keep it if it is, throw it away if it isn't, okay? I always look at it through what's the worst realistic thing that could happen, and can I live with that? When I look at any serious decision that I'm making, I say, what's the worst realistic thing that could happen, and can I live with that? Not unrealistic. Like, the worst unrealistic thing that could happen is you sign up, you create your first digital product, somebody buys it, they hate it so much that they find out where you live, they drive over to your house, they kick down your door, they drag you out in front of the street, they strip you naked, they scream at anybody who passes by, and they say, this is the person who sold me a piece of shit digital product. I want the whole world to see, right? That is a bad outcome, but it is incredibly unlikely. Yeah, it is incredibly unlikely. But what's the worst possible outcome that could happen is you would try this out, and maybe you make a couple mistakes. Maybe the first product you sell doesn't quite hit the mark. And then guess what? How can I invest that experience into the next digital product? I mean, realistically, the worst thing that can happen is you invest in this and you don't use it. That's the most unrealistic, that's the most realistic downside that could occur to here. And we will do everything we can to fight against the urge to not use this product. And that starts already before you sign up. Everything I'm teaching you here today has two levels of communication. There is the conscious level of the communication, and there is the subconscious level of the communication. And I speak to both simultaneously. I'm bilingual, right? There are certain languages that I have learned and phrasings that I have learned that simultaneously allow me to speak to both the superficial part of you and the deeper part of you. And this is one of the reasons, and maybe you have experienced this, where it's hard for you to go back to the old way of thinking after you hang around me enough. Tell me if that has already happened for you. And that's because not only do I talk to you consciously, I work the deeper parts of you that are in conflict with itself, and I allow you to remove some of that conflict so you operate in a different way. And you don't even need to know that that's happening in order for you to benefit from it. And you always will be protecting yourself and only take what's useful and move it into the next phase of your life. So this is happening. I'm installing certain more powerful states in you that you can now access that you couldn't access before. And those will carry with you through to joiniman.com when you sign up into Monetize itself, when you play the game. And then if you wish to compete in Monetize Mania, they will continue to follow you and grow as you move forward and do that. joiniman.com. I'm going to pop back over to the questions. Is this good stuff? Are you enjoying this so far? Has this been useful to you? Isn't this fun? Now, we run the danger. This can be fun and entertaining, but it's fun and entertaining, plus it has the purpose of also enhancing you and helping you discover new capabilities and ways to move forward and be successful. Monetize is not a membership in the sense of like you don't get auto billed every month or every single year. You don't get like your whole credit card whacked with everything and undisclosed extra charges and nothing like that. You do get access for a year or with the win until you win guarantee. Yes. If you can't, Tirth is saying I can't pay with Google Pay. If you can find a different alternative method, try that. If not, go to joiniman.com, go down to that WhatsApp group and hit them up. Yeah.